Imagine a hero shooter where the hero never showed. Imagine a game with a player base that just refused to grow. A 5v5 hero shooter with gameplay that's just okay, and characters that remind me of Tupperware and white bread. No, I'm not talking about Overwatch. Please stop bringing up Overwatch. This game is not Overwatch. It's actually something else. Imagine a game with a story that no one watches.
I'm vibing!
A game that costs $40 that Sony totally botches. It has all my favorite characters, like Lemmy, Dawn, and Craig.
Shout out to the chess club.
I think that's what their names are. I never bothered to check. Concord like the grave, your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Boop-a-doop-ba, deep-a-doop-da, scoop-a-boop-ba, beep-beep-beep-beep-beep, phlegm. Concord was about as good as accidentally peeing on your own leg. Concord, we're here to lay you to rest. We know you tried your best. You copied so much cool stuff just to turn out lame in the end. I'll never forget my favorite moments, like when Hot Sauce Guy jumped. Remember when he jumped? That was really cool. A rat just ran by on my desk, and even the rat didn't want to play Concord, even though I blessed him with the chance. The $40 he could afford, but the rat just stared on in a trance. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. The Costco guys made more money than you. They were just on Jimmy Fallon too. Imagine Lennox being on Jimmy Fallon, because I literally can't. The rat on my desk is eating all my Cheerios and grapes, and also Concord is dead. Concord like the grave, your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid.
Death to all
Rat-a-ta-ta, beep-a-dap, boop. Skim, milk, the rat fleet, doo-da, doo-da. A guy said he really liked it, and then a bunch of rats ate his face. That's the sound he made when Concord passed away. I wish things turned out different, but either way I'm getting paid. Concord's dead, Concord's dead, and boy is my face red. When the game came out, everybody overslept. Concord's dead, Concord's dead. Holy crap, Lois, Concord's dead. When the game out, people played everything else instead.
That's most definitely what's up.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I've missed you. I've missed you. How we doing? How the heck are we? If all 286 of us donated even $1, we'd make more money than Concord did. Technically, if you make this is a funny thing. If you make a single dollar in profit, you have made more money than Concord did, because Concord sold 25,000 copies probably, but they refunded everybody. So they literally did not make a single penny on the game, which is crazy. This is a good segue. The only potential way that they did make money was by people buying merch. And one of you know who you are, sent a package to my mailbox. I got an email from them on like Friday, Saturday, whatever it was. And they were like, oh, you have a package at your mailbox. I was like, huh, I wonder what that could be. So I showed up. It's a small package. And I opened it up. They sent me a Concord t-shirt. And I was like, where did you even find a Concord t-shirt? Apparently they sold these, and yes, I will put it on in a minute. Apparently they sold these through like PlayStation's like merch store. I don't know, PlayStation Direct, I guess, is the same shop. And how do we even search Concord? Maybe gear. That sounds right. Except we're in the US. Helldivers merch. Can you even find any Concord stuff anymore? Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. Brand new too, guys. It's new. So if you want some Concord merch, there's some more apparently. What's crazy is that this is probably the only way they're going to make money. People buying these pieces of merch, ironically. They're still in stock, amazingly enough. But there's that. There's that. So there you go. Now I have to find Skull and Bones merch. I have to find Suicide Squad merch. Is that what we have to do? I mean, it looks... Oh, official PlayStation tag. It's just the logo. But, I mean, how appropriate is that? How appropriate. Oh, Dustborn? No way they have Dustborn merch, though. There is no way. Oh, man. Monster Hunter Wilds beta ended and now you're sad. Yeah, no, me too. I mean, it was like at the point where honestly we're all getting the game anyways, so it's not like we have to be sold on it more, but the performance was not great. But it seems like there were a lot of people that had specific CPU limits and issues that were acting as though that spilled over and was like the game's problem. Let me see if I can find... Rurikon was tweeting out a bunch of stuff about it because there were a lot of people that were like, let me see if I can find it. I mean, you guys probably saw the memes of like the super low poly fights. From like really, really poorly optimized. The game being really poorly optimized. It seems like it's just CPU bottlenecked to hell. Like if you do not have a modern CPU, Wilds just hemorrhages frames. I don't even... Yeah, that looks fine. What do I search? Do I just search Monster Hunter potato? Oh yeah, these are like, this is kind of what it looked like for people if you were running the game on low. Just giant. Oh yeah, this is it. This is the clip that I think went around, where it just like shrinks down the poly count so low that it doesn't even look like a monster anymore. Like it's not even PS1 anymore, you know? It's crazy. So some people are like, oh, it's another botched release. It's like, guys, it's literally a beta, okay? Beta. And if you don't understand that, you, sir, are the beta. But some of the like PC setups people were like running 5-6 year old graphics cards with 5 to 6 year old mid-tier CPUs from the time. And you know, there's no way to point it out without sounding like a rich prick, but honestly, like if your PC is like 5-6 years old and it was kind of mid-tier at the time, if there's modern games that are really trying to push the technical boundary, they are not going to run super great. Like this, I don't consider acceptable, to be clear. I think if this is what your game looks like on low settings, something's wrong with low settings. Okay, to be very clear, I don't think this should be in a launch build of the game. I don't think this is even like particularly valuable to allow it to scale down to this size. But having said that, it is funny when you see people running with basically like PS4 era or like quality strength hardware that then complain about modern PC ports, and it's like, yeah, you're not going to run it at 4K 60. Like you're not. This is well beyond that though. Like obviously this should be fixed. Capcom has already said the build that they have in studio right now is way better than this. But still, easy memes, right? Looks so stupid. It's so stupid. Oh man. Mine is 7 years old, wasn't nearly that bad. I think from the testing that people did, Rurikon did this. He was like, a lot of people were arguing with me yesterday about the performance being unacceptable on a 3060. So anyway, here's me fighting Ray Dao on a 2060 with a charge blade, the most technical weapon in the game. The game was very playable, cratered or carted 1 degree. I don't know what cartered means. So it's tough with Twitter compression to tell what, because like you see it's compressing over the text. I think it's a poor capture too, which isn't helping. But I mean, it certainly does not look as bad as that other clip. It kind of reminds me vaguely of, you remember the old viral clips of like Joel in The Last of Us Remastered? Or I guess it was a remake. Let me see if I can find the pictures, because there were some like viral pictures that went around with his hair being like ridiculous. No. Yeah, this. You remember these pictures that were going around? Turns out, like, they were from a glitched, like, Steam Deck build. If your graphics weren't updated, it would do this. But people were passing this around as if the port was broken, and it was just, like, straight up, like, not accurate. Honestly, though, Joel with that, like, tan mom makeup, not bad. Not bad, you know? Not the worst I've seen, frankly. Not the worst I've seen.
Tan Mom,
It's Patricia.
So anyway, if you've not seen Tan Mom, don't Google it. You can never unsee that. Okay. Let me catch up on these. Wrong mouse. There we go. Let me see. Thank you, Ian, for the super chat. G'day, Luke. Have you seen Xenoblade X remake announcement? Nintendo announced it with a Twitter post and YouTube video. Not even a direct. I think what a lot of these companies are realizing is that whenever they have an event, people expect you to have something massive. And if you don't, they bitch and moan, frankly. And like, even, what was the recent one? Was it the Xbox event? Yeah, it was the Xbox Partner Showcase where they were like, straight up, this is what we're showing. Don't expect anything crazy. That's that.
Arrow 28 is now a member.
Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby, indeed. Thank you, Odin, for the 20 months. That's crazy. Hand drawn, also get to that in just a second, my friend. Thank you. I think, what was I saying? Oh yeah, all of these companies, I think they're just mortified to do any sort of event because they know like the expectations are high. So if you don't have any single like big announcement, then it's just, people are gonna be like, that was terrible. That was a total waste of time. And I'm not sure how helpful that is for all the effort that goes into it. So they're like, might as well wait till we have one really cool thing to show and then everything else. And the other piece of it too is like, if you're Nintendo specifically right now, you have a new like big release early next year. Maybe not early, but at some point next year with the follow-up to the Switch. So like, you've got to save some reveals, third party or otherwise. And if you're a developer for Nintendo, you probably, or that you want to port your games over there, you probably don't want to like blow your load right now with a Switch title, you know, like you probably want to chill. You probably want to chill and save it. So can't say I'm surprised. Concord shirt. Yeah, somebody sent it. I if you know who you are, send me like an email or something if you're okay with me saying your name, because I saw it on like the packing thing, but I don't want to like say your name if you didn't want me to. Anyway. Arcana Theory, thank you for the 5. Luke, you're wrong. That is a monster, just not the one they wanted to show. It's, I mean, in a way, it's even more horrifying. I'll give him that. Yeah. Hand drawn. Thank you for the 10,000 bits. Thank you, my friend. I don't know if I'm just hurting my sanity by listening to you talk about games as I sit here working on artwork for video games at work, but I'm here to support your stream. Thank you. 10,000 bits, very generous. And I will say, the longer you listen to me, the more your sanity may slip away. Similar to another game, Bloodborne. People are doing side-by-side comparisons between this and the PS5 version. Have you guys seen these? Is this a tearaway tag or no? If it wasn't, it tore away. I'm going to go off camera to change because I don't want YouTube coming at me. Oh, he showed nipples. It's the last thing I need. Okay. Okay, ooh, it's so steamy over here where I'm changing. Oh. Look out, Amaranth. There's a new player in town. Okay, there's tons of, like, strings. Oh. The shirt quality is similar to the game. Okay. Only appropriate. Now we are repping. Again, shout out to whoever sent this over. It's very funny. Okay. Yes, we can kind of do this. News hour. So in case you've not been chronically online, there are side-by-side comparisons going around for the PS5 Pro. Because if you missed it, they're doing like PS5 Pro unboxings on certain outlets and channels. I mean, it's literally like a console in a cardboard box. Like, I don't understand why people would be that interested in an unboxing, but maybe they are. I don't know. IGN posted this. The guy's wearing a glove for some reason. Guys, it's not... This is not a Patek watch. You know, this is not like a $200,000 piece of jewelry. I don't think you need the fancy, like, actual glove treatment. What does he say? Maybe it's like, maybe he has like an infection and that's why he's wearing it. Let's see why he says. I haven't actually heard why he says he's wearing a glove.
You're thinking, why is this guy wearing one creepy black
I am wondering that.
glove? Well, that's because I've been told I have very greasy hands, and so in order to get wonderful beauty shots and not have my producer yell at me, I got these black.
That's so much worse than if he was just like... That's so bad. How bad does your like hand hygiene have to be that your producers were like, people can't see those. You cannot have those things in the shot. It will offend the masses. That's so stupid. Wow. Poor guy. What mean producers. Like, I don't have pretty hands. My hands look like hands. They're not particularly gorgeous, but I cannot fathom being told. Like, imagine Jacob is like editing videos. And I'm like, do you have any notes for me? Anything we should change in the uploads as you're editing them? Like, is there anything that stands out? Well, Luke, you know, the content's solid. We're talking about stuff people are interested in, you know. But your mitts, man. Those things look straight up like salad fingers, and it's offensive to at least 3 senses. I cannot fathom that. That's this. I don't know what I was expecting him to say why he was wearing a glove, but that's so much
that is inside this box, as well as the vertical stand over here. And you might be thinking, why is this guy wearing one creepy black glove? Well, that's because I've been told I have very greasy hands, and so in order to get wonderful beauty shots and not have my producer yell at me, I got these black latex gloves. So let's get started.
Okay, whoever the producer on this is, give that guy an apology. Okay, that's just mean. That's just me. Next video, I'm gonna be wearing gloves. We'll have to do that. If I do like an unboxing for a new, like the Switch or the PS5 Pro or something, I'll wear gloves in solidarity.
These are the PlayStation 5 Pro, and I can't see because I'm short. We have the PlayStation Spectrum.
So to be clear, if he was just like, hey, we don't want smudges on the black shiny plastic. Okay. Being told by your producer that you have greasy hands. That's so mean. Okay. But they're doing unboxings for them. These things are out in the wild. People are showcasing the side-by-side differences. Honestly, if you want to see side-by-side differences, again, IGN, you guys make such stupid little mistakes for being a channel with 18 million subs across their whole portfolio of like all their channels and stuff. They probably have over 100 million subs. You are doing an unboxing for the one big piece of hardware of the year, and it's in 1080p. Already, like, what are we doing? This is 2024, not 2014. Secondly, it's so like, I don't understand how anybody could justify. It's so stupid. Like, you guys should be doing this at the wild, crazy. Honestly, even if it's a 4K video, export it at 8K. It'll be like a 150 gigabyte file, but if it's a big enough video, you can justify it. And the higher bit rate will greatly help showcase the differences in the footage, because this is so compressed, it looks like downright bad. But anyway, don't let me tell IGN how to do their jobs. So that's out there. That's a thing. Now there are side-by-sides going around showcasing games, including games that have not specifically been PS5 Pro enhanced, because there's a toggle in the menus specifically to make like PS4 games enhanced or regular PS5 games enhanced. This is the same thing that the PS4 Pro did, where it also had like an enhanced button or enhanced option for backwards compatible games that were not specifically like developed for the PS4 Pro. And it just kind of usually increased the resolution. If there were a frame rate cap that it could easily toggle off, it would do that. But here we are with the Bloodborne side-by-side that everybody's been waiting for. And to be clear, this will not improve your frame rate in Bloodborne, okay? So all we're looking at are resolution differences, post-processing differences, stuff like that, that the console's automatically doing. Nothing else is going on. This is the side-by-side, as you can see as I sweep it over. Now, on the stream, you might be like, Luke, it's the same picture. There is some difference in the fog. That might just be the time from when they captured the two images, because it's like the fog effects go and like move across the screen and the map. So it probably is not even an actual difference in the settings. I do think there is a difference if we look up here. Let me see if I can even. So like if we look on this lamppost, if you really try, like maybe a little, but here's the deal. If we pixel count, I'm pretty damn sure this is the same number of pixels. I think what's happening is there's an additional sharpness filter going over top. Maybe that's the pisser technology or something. But even if we are like pixel peeping and counting, I don't think it's making that big of a difference. What I'm seeing is a change in contrast and a change in color, not a change in like specific sharpness. There's other tidbits here, like as you go across his head, the hair does appear sharper, but again, that to me looks more like a sharpness filter and a lot less like improved resolutions. Maybe on the cloth, you can see there's a little more texture there in the back on the second one, more so than you'd see with just an increased sharpness, but it's really damn hard to tell. And this is kind of the big thing to take away from this. If you have to zoom in, enhance 4 times to spot the differences, they're probably not that big, okay? And that's okay, because this is not a PS5 Pro enhanced game. This is a game that came out 10 years ago, close to it at least, and it has not been specifically reworked to take advantage of the new hardware. This is just an automated kind of back end thing that the PS5 Pro would do to try and enhance it. Is it $700 good? No, not at all. But I don't know of many people that are buying the PS5 Pro to replay Bloodborne barely sharper. You know, I don't think anybody's really doing that. If you're gonna do it, it's to enjoy the games that are specifically enhanced for the PS5 Pro. Even among those, there's not a whole lot of there's like not a whole lot of difference between them. But let me see if I can find, I think they've done side-by-sides The Last of Us to PS5 Pro. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, the Digital Foundry video talks about it. I guess that's the best we're going to get. Where they'll show like the side-by-sides. And honestly, it does look better. They definitely have done some enhancements. But again, like this is one of those things you're only really going to appreciate it. For one, of course, if you're playing on a 4K TV. If you're playing on a 4K TV that is large enough for you to see the differences in these different things. I used to sell like home theater systems when I worked with Magnolia Home Theater, and many years ago. But even back then, when 4K was breaking onto the scene and the PS4 Pro was just coming out and was blowing up, even back then we were telling people, unless you have like a 65-inch, 75-inch TV, you probably don't benefit that much from the PS4 Pro, other than like the enhanced frame rates if the game supported it. With this, like the PS5 Pro, the step and improvement seems almost all resolution related. And so if you don't have a big enough screen, you're probably just not going to really enjoy much benefit, just transparently and frankly. I could lie to you and be like, no, it makes a total difference all the time. It's cutting edge technology, but that's just frankly not true. This is one of those technological steps that requires you to take other steps in tandem. In the same way, like you can buy yourself a freaking RTX 4090, but if you don't have a monitor that's capable of like handling the 4K 120 FPS signal or whatever, that thing's overkill. If you're trying to play a game on a 1440p monitor with that, like that thing is overkill for what you're trying to do. You can still buy it if you just want to flex on people, that's fine. But you're probably overbuying for just raw power. But having said all this, like I'm sure as time goes by, we'll see improvements. We'll see reasons to justify the PS5 Pro's existence. And my stance has always been like, right now, the PS5 Pro might not make sense for most people. For some people, maybe it does. If you really like some of the games that are specifically enhanced, then yeah, sure. And if you have a lot of money and you're kind of like me and you love spending frivolously, then sure, maybe go for it. But for most people, I don't think this makes a lot of sense for them today. In a year, to play Ghost of Yotei enhanced, it could make perfect sense. If there's a GTA 6 enhancement where it renders, instead of natively at 1440p, it can render at like 1680p or something, and so it's a little bit sharper, maybe then you can mentally justify it. But for the most part, I don't think this makes a ton of sense for most people. That's my personal stance. And some people were thinking that it would overhaul PS4 graphics to the point where that would justify the purchase. And honestly, I just don't see it. To me, I see the fog has changed slightly in between screen caps, and I see what looks to be a sharpness filter put over top. I don't really see much else. Maybe with the text, you can see a little bit of sharpness improve. But again, like it's really hard to say whether this is worth $700. So to be fair, if you guys are watching the stream, you're watching this double compressed. IMGSLI does a good job of doing the side-by-sides on these things. But having said that, like, can I grab it here, go up? Like the lantern, you can see there definitely is some increased sharpness and stuff. I think that one, I'm more convinced that there's a resolution improvement just on the detail around the kind of filigree on the top. So I would say that I wouldn't be surprised if it's more than just a sharpening filter. But I think it's doing both in tandem. I think it's sharpening, over sharpening with the PSSR, and then it's slightly increasing the resolution. But again, if we're doing this side by side on a freeze frame and we're like, I think it's better, it's probably not that much better. So anyway, we're going to be seeing lots of unboxings of the PS5 Pro in 3 days, I think it comes out. So we'll see more this week, people talking about it. If you bought it, cool, good, like props. We're probably going to unbox one and do something with it. I don't know. But as for most people, I think that it probably doesn't make a lot of sense. You know, if you do this for a living, maybe you can justify it mentally. Or again, if you just like burning money, sweet. But if you are somebody more casually enjoying games, it's kind of hard to justify. That's my perspective, at least. But do what you want, and I will support you. Or I'll make fun of you. One of the two. It really depends. It really depends on the day. Oh, man. Yeah. Your Dragon Age video got a lot of people riled up in the comment. Maybe. I don't know. I don't really read. On like videos like that, I'll pay attention to the broader sentiment, but I'm not like going through and reading the people that are coming in and not watching the video. You can always tell, because like I might do the video and I talk about like the cringy writing 2/3 of the way through the video, and some of the quest lines and stuff they've done, and I'll pop in there and I'll start the video, but you can see in the comments people be like, wow, and not one mention of the modern day writing and stuff. I'm like, I literally talk about it. You didn't watch the video. Like, you're coming into a video about Dragon Age that doesn't have big red "it's woke, go broke" or "it's a disaster" text on the thumbnail, and then you assume that it's just a glaze piece, and it's like they only make themselves look kind of dumb. But in my experience, those people are very loud and raucous, but they don't really have much of an impact on most people's enjoyment of those games. Most people are like, okay, sit down. I will say I've been frankly disappointed by some of the way that some creators, even I have followed, have reacted to it. There's been just a lot of people that have concluded this is a flop or a failure. It's a disaster, all caps, like that kind of thing. It's just brain rot. Like, it's just an attempt to rage bait at that point. Like, you don't have to like the game. Was it a wild success like Black Myth Wukong? No. Is it gonna make its money back over time? I think so. Yeah, I think it'll turn a profit. Not every game breaks records and and has 500,000 concurrents. Alan Wake 2, which I thought was a really solid game, still is not profitable. Still. They talk very openly about this. Very few games break a profit or make a profit within the first week. Like, that's pretty rare, which is why it's exceptional when a game does that. But it seems like, again, nowadays, there's a lot of people that just have like no, I mean, a lot of them are kind of dumb. So like, they don't understand that most games are built for having a tail to generate revenue and profit. They think, oh no, game came out today, game not make tons of money today, therefore flop. And it's like, that's not how that works. Most of these games are designed to be sold over the course of 2, 3, 4 years. Ubisoft, part of the reason that they put stuff on such steep discounts is because those games are kind of designed monetarily around being sold for years. They're not really expected, of course they'd love it if it did, but they're not expected to turn a massive profit within a week. Even a game like Concord, they would expect that to generate revenue and returns over the course of months and months and months, and maybe eventually 6 months or a year down the road, then it breaks that break-even point. But I think a lot of people just, they look at the exceptions to the rule and then try to come up with the rule. Or then they do not tolerate anything else. Like with some of this, you know, if you spent this much money on the game, Black Myth Wukong, boop, day one, tons of money. Most people that were interested in buying it already bought it, so it doesn't have much of a tail. It just kind of, you know, diminished returns. But it spikes up, breaks even. All of this is profit. For something like Alan Wake 2, it's been a very slow, probably more steep than that, but it's been a very slow process. And at some point, it will cross over and break even. For Dragon Age, I imagine I'm going to go purple. For Dragon Age, it's probably a similar thing where it's going to eventually turn a profit a year or two from now, or maybe sooner. I don't know how much they spent on it, but eventually it will. Seems to be how it's going to work. The people I know that were like big Dragon Age stands that were very excited for it, they're really enjoying the game. It's not exactly what they were hoping for, but like my wife, she's been really enjoying it. And my other close friend that is super into Dragon Age, she's also really enjoying it. And they do not give two craps about the online discourse or what this YouTuber says about the game being a disaster. Like, no. You know, it's just, I think that the people are sufficiently fed up with trying to be bullied into disliking things they like. It's just not doing a lot. It's just, in a lot of ways, it's just the opposite. It's the inverse of like the Hogwarts Legacy thing, where people are like, okay, like I get that there's bad writing. I get that there's cringy quest lines that nobody really finds interesting. Like, I get all of that. But I just want to play the game. Like, just shut up and let me play the game. And I think that's totally fine. I think that's totally fine. And if you don't like it, like, don't buy it. Like, it's really not that complicated. Vote with your wallet. The point is, you have the power to vote with your wallet. You can vote with your wallet. I don't think it's fair for you to try and bully people into changing their vote with their wallet to be the same as yours. Like, you can make your point, you can argue or explain why you don't want to buy it. That's cool. But if people want to just enjoy it and say like, shut up, you also can't really blame it. Like, I have made a lot of fun of Concord, to be very clear. I had a great time bashing that game. But if somebody really enjoys it, they can't currently play it, to be fair. But let's say they were able to, and they wanted to just play it, put their head down and play it. They could do that and have a great time, I'm sure, and do it that way. Like, more power to them. They don't have to listen to the feedback. Like, that's whatever. But it's it's really bizarre seeing people try and bully people into being upset about this or that. Oh, no way. I was just talking about the unboxing stuff. Jor did an unboxing. Dude, he's got the connections. When's he gonna do the unboxing? Where is it? Did I miss it? It's like gaming news. Oh, here it is. I went past it. Is it just gonna be the white box inside? Yep. Yeah, looks like a PS5. I swear, man, like these things used to be like, you know what has amazing packaging? The Meta Quest. Yeah, no gloves. ... Have you guys ever opened a Meta Quest like headset? Like a VR headset? Their packaging is brilliant. Their packaging is like weirdly satisfying to open, and it's like, ooh, that's so cool. I wonder if they have like Meta Quest 3 unboxing. Like everything fits perfectly into its little slots. Everything is perfectly and precisely cut out so it fits snug inside. They have the paper cups holding everything properly. Like it is so satisfying and well packaged and put together. Same with the like 2. It was just really well done. But like so much, like now you open an iPhone and it's just sitting in a box. Like it's just so boring. It's just there, you know? The art of well packaged stuff, it's gone, man. It's gone. And what's stupid is they're like, oh no, it's to be environmentally conscious. That's why we removed charging bricks and cables and headphones, and we made the boxes smaller, and we stopped packaging it well so it gets broken if it falls. Like that's why we did all of that. It's like, are you maybe it's to be environmentally conscious, but it really seems like you're just trying to cut costs, you know? Really seems that way. I have a sneaking suspicion it's just to cut costs, and you're just saying that it's, you know, you got your get out of jail free card for doing kind of an anti-consumer thing. And you're just like, well, it's for the environment, so shut up. You know? Yeah. I mean, to be clear, I think you should cherish the environment. I think you should take care of it, all that, you know, blah, blah, blah. Absolutely agree. But like, again, if you're going to remove like charging cables, or if you're going to remove headphones or charging bricks from your cell phone, that's $1,200. We all know why you're doing that. Okay. Like, don't lie to me and be like, no, it's actually because of the trees. It's like, no, it's not. Don't piss on my back and tell me it's raining. I know you're pissing on my back. Okay. I know what's up. I know. Oh, cognitive scientist Virgin. Good for you for coming out so proudly and letting us all know. I think you should be very comfortable. I'm proud of you for saying that so proudly. Everyone, can we get a cheers for Cognitive for coming out as a virgin in chat? Thank you. Welcome, my friend. We welcome all virgins, especially you, for being so confident. Good for you, man. Cheers, my friend. Hate modern fancy boxing. Bring back boxes and boxes of poor color print. Or like, honestly, I have like a weird like appreciation, and I sort of miss the old unboxings from like the late 2000s, early 2010s, when like if you opened a cardboard box, you were gonna get one of those cardboard box paper cuts. Those things those paper cuts were like being cut with a machete from hell. You know, those were different. And nowadays, like, it's like a plastic infused cardboard they use in these boxes. I don't even know if I have anything around that's packaged like that. But like, it's too safe. It's too safe. Make unboxings dangerous again. That's what I'm saying. That's what I think we need. That's what I think we need. That we can finally get this country back on track. Once we get that figured out, okay? I think that's when we'll be okay. Okay. I was telling Jacob before this. It's like, I think we need to try something again. Here it is. A game that's been discussed, okay? I'm gonna show you. Nick, thank you for the super chat. I wish Sony would port and remaster games that actually need them, like Killzone, Resistance, SOCOM, not third-person action adventure game number 1000. I've tried to like, I transparently don't know if Killzone has the same selling power as Horizon. I think it should. But trying to like step outside the bubble, do you think that it appeals to the same like mainstream people? I'm not so sure that it does. Like, Horizon does have mainstream appeal in the same way that I think Popcorn has mainstream appeal, even though it's like objectively a beef Wellington is better than Popcorn as a meal. And if you would pick between two, you should probably take the beef Wellington. But a lot of people will still buy the Popcorn because it's easy to get, it's easy to down. You don't have to really appreciate the finer details. You know, you can just consume it. And that's kind of Horizon. It's just pop culture personified. So I don't know. I don't know if Killzone would have the same buying power. In the same way when people are like, Sony should bring back Jak and Daxter. That's what Naughty Dog should do next. I'm not so sure. I don't think Jak and Daxter has the same selling power as it might have done or might have had back in the day. And even back in the day, like, games are way bigger now. Most of these games need to sell 10, 15, 20 million copies to like really turn a profit if they were marketed heavily. And at that point, like, I'm not sure if Jak and Daxter, even if it's really good, is selling $10 million or 10 million units. Like, I really don't think so. Blake, thank you for the 5. Killzone is more appealing than the Gen Z shooters like Concord and Fair Game $. They could do it. Yeah, it's more appealing. I agree. But is it still appealing enough to take a chunk from like Call of Duty and from these other games? Like, that I don't know. Again, you are going up against Godzilla. And even if you have a franchise that previously was big and accomplished, Call of Duty has grown a lot in that time that they've been out of, you know, out of the game, you know. So I think if they can remaster them for cheap, hell yeah. But you know, like, the other problem with this is that a lot of executives, they don't, when it comes to shooters or things with live service opportunities, they do not do like the half-assed quick remaster where they have private servers and that's it. If they're doing something, they're going to do like the full crazy remake treatment, trying to monetize it with 15 battle passes and all that.
Now a member. Wild, it's been 2 years. Been here since the first stream. It's act crazy how fast this channel is growing. Any idea what the next long critique is?
Yeah, so in the month of November, we're putting a lot of time into the Witcher video. I would expect we get the Witcher video out. Because I don't want to just do like a full recap of the game and the DLC. Like, I want to basically look at it through modern lenses and appreciate The Witcher 3 and then point out some things that I disagree with my old critiques on and all that. So we'll do that. As for what comes after that, I've been keeping an eye on feedback to see whether it's worth doing a breakdown of Veilguard. And that I honestly don't know if it is or not, if it's worth it. So time will tell. But after that, I mean, we'll probably open it up for Patreon and for members to vote. We're trying to decide right now, we're doing sort of an analysis if it makes more sense to just keep all of the supporters in one spot with the memberships, like YouTube memberships, or if we should like keep the Patreon. My fear is just having everything splintered off just seems overly complicated. So I don't know, we'll make up our mind there. Either way, like we'll fulfill all the rewards and everything, of course, but I want to make sure it's as streamlined and easy for people as possible. But that's probably what we're looking at. I think a breakdown on Veilguard, there's plenty to talk about. But as I've played more over the last few days, honestly, like it really does just come down to, I think it's fine. Like there's stuff I don't like about it. There's plenty of problems I have with it. I don't think it's bad, but honestly, like if I had to compare it, I'd put it with like a more narrow and honestly, like it feels like a smaller budget Horizon game. Like, you know how Horizon has the weird RPG stuff that doesn't do anything? Where it's like, oh, you can select Aloy's heart response or Aloy's fist response, or, you know, she has those dialogue options and it doesn't do anything. Like it has no effect on it, because you can tell at some point they wanted to make it an RPG and then they just kind of gave up on it. And with Dragon Age Veilguard, there are significant choices you can make, so it's certainly a more impressive RPG than that. But a lot of the interesting consequence happens off screen. You don't tend to see a lot of that stuff play out. There might be a line of dialogue that expresses it and explains things, but there's not a whole lot. Like if you choose the Crow background, and no spoilers, but there's a moment where you can kind of make a choice that might have something to do with Treviso. And if you choose to go against Treviso or to support Treviso, there's very different attitudes given from the companions and from what plays out there. And I think it works pretty well. I have a feeling the further into the game I get, I'm either going to burn out on the combat, because already I'm like, I think there's a big lull in cool loot and build abilities, because like you'll get some new materials, you get some new weapons and gear and stuff where you can sort of tweak your build, but honestly there's very little reason to use the underpowered stuff when you got the new stuff that's just better. So even if you're like, I want to do a cold build, you can go and upgrade that stuff, but it's still not going to be as good as the new thing that you just found that has a different status effect. So you can't really tailor your build until later in the game, and I think that that's a problem with how they kind of paced the loot. But if I don't burn out, I think I'm gonna finish it being like, yeah, I thought that was pretty good. I might even play it again with a different class. Sure, why not? But I could totally see myself burning out, because like the writing with a lot of the characters is very, what would I even compare it to? It's just very placid, very friendly. Like there's dark moments, there's dark stuff in it. Anybody who's saying it's super lighthearted, I'm not sure as you get further in the game if that holds up. Like there are some dark things in it, but it's certainly very, very lighthearted compared to what I think people expected it to be, which is the difference. Like there's some dark, but maybe it's like 5% dark and gritty, but people were expecting 30%, so it feels like there's no dark and gritty at all. You know what I mean? I'm trying to like explain this as my brain unravels it. But yeah, it feels young adult writing-ish. It feels like the constant sarcasm also kind of drives me crazy. I don't know what happened, but there's this thing in a lot of modern writing where characters don't want to take anything seriously. So it's always like, Oh, geez, great idea, Einstein, running in here. Or, we should escape, there's a dragon coming. Oh, no duh, Sherlock. You know, that kind of thing. Where you can tell they're expecting you to just start snapping in agreement. I can't stand it. Like, it drives me crazy. Maybe it's the Marvel quips, though. In my brain, I think of like the Chris Pratt, and Paul Rudd, the way that they perform it, where they don't take anything seriously, you know, or like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, where everything's like not serious, everything's kind of a joke. That isn't quite the same here. The characters do take things seriously, but they're really sarcastic, and none of them like really plainly state what they say. What JV said in his Twitter post, I thought was really accurate. And I actually really, really like it. I would tweak it just a tad by saying, I think the dialogue is in line with like, I think it's in line with socially awkward people. I think that's a lot of it. Sorry, Ziatic, Nightbot. That's weird. Nightbot blocked a bit tip thing because it had multiple bits like listed in the message, and so it thought that was spam. Have I played Kingdom of Amalur Reckoning or Re-Reckoning? I have not. But I think it's what happens when people who are socially awkward write dialogue, because nobody wants to confront each other clearly and plainly. Like, a character will make a stupid mistake and people will be like, an interesting choice nonetheless. And that's it. How precarious and peculiar. And that's all they say. And it feels like there should be a very like outsized response. Like there should be some big reaction. But instead it's just, interesting. I'm like, that's it. And it really feels as though they're not responding correctly. But it's what happens when people who are perhaps socially awkward are writing dialogue for characters that they think are not socially awkward. But it's this constant sarcasm and constantly like disarm the tension. And this is the problem. Like, tension is what makes things interesting. Tension is what makes stories interesting. You have to let it sizzle. You have to let it simmer. You know, the second you get rid of that like tension, it just deflates the conversation. Everything just falls apart. It's not interesting anymore. You have to find that tension and you have to tackle it and enjoy it. I've had the same problem in my D&D campaign I'm running for my friends, where I've like at the start of sessions, I have to say, guys, when there's an awkward moment or where there's a moment of tension where like a character meets somebody from their backstory, the urge is to throw in a line where you're like cracking a joke, you know, because you want to disarm the awkward tension. But you have to resist that. You have to find that moment of tension. And when you feel the urge to break that ice, to break that tension, intentionally stop yourself and let it stay tight. Let it stay rigid. Let it stay in that position where it could break at any moment, because that's what's interesting, when those characters are livid with each other. And that's kind of what I've noticed, is that there's not really a lot of dynamics. I think Skillet mentioned it in his review too, where the companions, like, they're all just very buddy. So it, like, even Guardians of the Galaxy in the Marvel universe, they did this decently well, where there's multiple plot lines where characters within the Guardians group are upset with each other for very prolonged periods of time for valid reasons. And I think that's what makes those group dynamics interesting and entertaining to watch, because you want to see where it goes. When everybody's just buddy singing Kumbaya, it doesn't really work that well. So Anyway, I have plenty of notes, plenty of things that I would change for sure. But as of right now, I'm still enjoying it. And I think that's the main thing. It's like a game does not have to be perfect for me to still have a decent time. I haven't gotten to the quest line where Tosh does her whole or their whole thing with like lecturing people on pronouns and stuff. I haven't come across that. So who knows, maybe that will be cringe enough that I'll be like totally mentally checked out. But in general, I don't really care. If I have to sit through 5 minutes of cringe to enjoy a 60-hour game, that's not a bad ratio. There's other cringe in the game, but like I don't frankly care that much. You know, I'm willing to tolerate some. You know what I'm not willing to tolerate? A game I tried on Friday that didn't work. Are you ready? Are you ready? Do you guys remember what game we tried to play? Do you remember? The NFT game. You're right. You're right. Well, guess what? After that video, Ubisoft sent out a patch. And now it boots. So I think we got to try it. New segment. You ready for this? Let me catch up on these super quick. Afro Jedi, thank you for the 5. Do you think Marvel Rivals will cannibalize Overwatch 2, or do you think they have different audiences? I think there will be a lot of cannibalization. Having played both a good amount, yeah, I think there will be some, because Marvel Rivals is very good, and Overwatch is kind of hitting a lull, but they're also trying, like, they're bringing back 6v6, so maybe that helps. I'm not sure, though. But I do think it'll eat into it, at least for a little while. Let's see. Blake, do you think scalpers are going to make a killing on the pro side? No, put the Concord song on Spotify and make some money. I'll tell Jacob. I don't think they'll make money. I mean, you could still buy one. It's not sold out. Scalpers only make money when things are sold out and you can't get them elsewhere. And it's not sold out. So I don't think scalpers will make anything on it. Astro Tutor, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you for that. Odin, 20 months again. Ooh, baby, indeed. And Blackbeard, thank you for that 5. Have you tried Smite 2? Smite 2 is on UE5. Smite 1 is on UE3. And you think they can keep going after 16 years? Have I tried them? Yes, I believe so, a long time ago. But do I remember much about them? No. So I did not get enough into them. I think I tried them in my college house. Smite 1 specifically, I mean. Because one of my friends was really into it, but I don't think I've really, I don't think I put much time into it, frankly. Okay. You ready? Here we go. New segment. It's official, guys. The NFT game boots. This, in case you missed it somehow, is from Ubisoft. And if this is good, it might just make us Ubi hard, but time will tell. This is Champions Tactics Grimoria Chronicles. That is a name for a game that is this. So there's that. We are going to try it, boot up, and see what it's about. Ubisoft Paris has been working on this for years, and this notably features NFTs ranging from $7 all the way up to $64,000. You think I'm joking? I understand why you might think that, but I am not joking. That apparently the max NFT price, according to the article we read, is £50,000, which roughly converts to $64,000 US. Okay. But here we are, booting in. Let's see what this actually is. Basically, my understanding is that it is a game where you are playing with little miniatures. These miniatures are NFTs that you can purchase, and There you go. In this establishment, you'll be able to battle the best minds of Grimoria. Let me guide you through the first steps before challenging the other lords and legends. Champions are at the core of the game. They're defined by 5 types of genes. Quirk. Oh my god, they're so quirky. Which can add headgear to the champion. Faction, which determines the race and head of the champion. Job, which determines the class and outfit of the champion. Weapon, which determines which is the wielded weapon. And element, which determines their base and type. So are each of these NFTs? Each one? Or is the final product in NFTs? Each champion has 8 statistics: vitality, initiative, magic power, physical resistance, physical resistance are used to compute damage of skills, critical chance, and crit multiplier. Okay. Manager, as part of your arrival, let me give you 3 ethereal champions that'll help you get started. Okay. With those first ethereal champions acquired, I'll teach you the key mechanics of the game. Let's fight. Select a champion. A strategic selection of champions is the first step towards securing a win. Each turn, you select a champion, place it on the board. The role of a champion determines its main purpose. For a standard and strong composition, champions with the protection role are often better in the front line. Champions with damage roll are safe in the middle, and support are in the back. You can gain more information by right-clicking. Okay, so protection, damage, and support. So he goes in the front. Ready. Okay. Select another one. Okay. Damage. Okay. And then this one in the back. Round 1. Why did you do the worst fatality is nature? Okay. Okay. Initiative. We roll initiative. That determines the roll. Okay, just like D&D. Each round, select a skill for each champion. Speed of skill change. Okay, whatever. Boop. Boop. King's Mandate. Let's do that. And then for this guy, let's do that. And then for this guy, let's do this. Ready. Okay. You know what's really upsetting? So I'm sure this will blow up on mobile. I don't know if the NFT thing even makes it sellable on the mobile store, but can somebody Google if this is available on the App Store? Attack champions just okay, yeah. Mitigate magical mitigate target. Okay. They can block that much. Boop, boop, boop. Let's just King's Mandate. Let's just keep whacking at him. Let's try that. He's got a lot of defense, but let's see if that works. I mean, already I'm like, it's so slow. It looks a lot like Darkest Dungeon. Yeah, you can tell it's definitely inspired a bit by that. With the way the camera moves in for the individual fights and stuff. Stylistically, I'm not mad about it. I like the look of you're in a tavern playing on the table and then there's people walking in the background of the windows. I like the style of it. I'm not opposed to that. It's going to come down to how it's monetized and priced out, which is the only reason I'm really trying this is to see what that in-game store looks like. So once we get past this, we can look at that. But yeah, not on the Android store. Okay, only on Ubi Connect. I mean, I would honestly expect that it might be disallowed on the App Store because of like how the NFT stuff works. Like if they won't let Epic, they're willing to fight like multi-million-dollar or billion-dollar lawsuits to try and prevent Epic from selling games, like, or selling microtransactions on their own games. Like I imagine there's not a whole lot that they'd be willing to put up with when it comes to NFTs and stuff like that. But can I like skip through these? No. Resume. No, you just gotta let it play out. I think because it's meant to be like player versus player, so it's meant to be real time. You're meant to see it play out. But okay. He's broken. Imagine if that destroyed the NFT, so like you just lose your money. The guy just has a mental breakdown after one of his pieces breaks. It's like, oh, we wanted to simulate reality, so you drop the piece off the table and he breaks. Okay. You roll initiative each turn. Reactions. Okay, linked event. Okay. Boop. I think we can finish this guy. Yeah, we're just throwing everything. They've dealt like no damage. Then we let it play out again. Is there no 2x speed? Nope. We're dealing with this together, my friend. You and I both. I'm pushing to see the in-game store. That's what I want. Cap. Remember, they worked on this for years and years and did not want to cancel it. Just do it. We're almost there, guys. Stay strong. We're almost there. Oh, did he get me? He did. No, my NFT. Can't. I could like heal and play it properly and like buff characters and stuff, but where's the fun in that? Booyah! You have a keen eye for combat. I have no doubts you'll find a challenge with the other lords. Okay. You've completed your first match. Let me give you additional champions to sharpen your strategic mind. Choose a set of champions that best matches your playstyle. Aggressive. Check your collection. Discover your champion's abilities. Okay. Collection. Champions. Genes tab. Okay. So, now you know what we have to check. Codex. VIP. Marketplace. Will it not let me? Oh, wait. No. Okay. Finish the tutorial. Ranked game modes. Quests. Close. Congratulations, complete the introductory course of the game to the marketplace. Yeah, against other players, or grow your collection of champions using the marketplace or forge. Let's see, marketplace. Okay, you ready? It's based around an in-game currency. Then they convert. People can set their own price. So people. Oh, wow. Oh, man. That's pretty funny. This is what's so funny about the NFT thing, though. It's like, this is their vision. This is like part of what the dream is, right? That you could have these guys that are priced like this, and you could make a living selling $128 million dudes. And each one of these numbers, I think, is unique. So the idea is that you can see like their abilities and what they can do specifically, so then you can purchase these. It's really funny. People are already trolling with it, selling stuff for hundreds of millions of dollars. Like even $130 for this guy. 128 million. That's crazy. But I was not expecting somebody to be selling a $295,569,666.66 NFT in this game. But there you go. There you go. You know, like all those football stadiums that exist throughout the world? You could build one of those, or you could buy this guy. Up to you, my friend. Up to you. Yeah. There's the video title, Jacob, I guess. I tried Ubisoft's game with a $295 million microtransaction. It's not even joking. Like, that's crazy. It's enough for a small stadium. $300 million. I think the Pepsi Stadium was about that. Granted, that was a long time ago. A lot of modern stadiums are like $1 billion, but still. There you go. That's a thing. The Forge will not let you go in unless you sign in. And then they have VIP. Is this just a battle pass? Looks like it. Emotes and profile pictures. Man, I was not expecting much, but I really am still surprised. I'm still surprised. Like, even in a game kind of like that, that's really, really successful, I just cannot fathom spending this much time and money on something like that. It's just so crazy. But there you go. Ubisoft's NFT game. There. We've all learned. We've all learned. Please don't encourage Blizzard. Yeah, Blizzard's over here like, well, Ubisoft did it. So, and Luke only made one video on that. So we're probably good to keep doing it. Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay. Should we... Oh, the king is back also. I don't know if you guys saw that, but the king himself is back. What game could bring out a YouTube icon? Legend. There's only one.
Say, buddy, you mentioned something about research for a story.
That's right. Got a tip that something big's happening.
They sure didn't mention anything about it on TV.
It's Frank. Frank West.
Remember that name, because the whole world's gonna know it in 3 days. Deluxe Remaster.
That's right. Krabby Cat came back after all this time. It's been gone for ages just to talk about Dead Rising Remastered. Which is amazing. He's done other stuff with Dead Rising. He has one notable video where he went back and tried, I think it was Dead Rising 4. It was that whole debacle. Yeah.
Take a look at this.
7 years ago, dude.
The whole Dead Rising franchise has been known for mayhem and just killing tons and tons and tons of zombies.
So I think he's a fan of the franchise, which is probably why he decided to come back for this specifically. But just when we needed him most, he decided to come back. I will say, I thought the remaster was pretty good. I mean, a lot, like the shooting mechanics and stuff being reworked made one hell of a difference. Like just being able to aim and then strafe side to side, night and day. It does kind of break the game because the original boss fights were designed around the old broken shooting, so they were way harder. With the new shooting mechanics, it's a walk in the park. The game is really easy. But other than that, I thought it was fine, but the rewrites are what pisses me off. Like there's the one guy who is straight up like a Vietnam vet, and in the original game he's like rambling and ranting about how like he thinks that the player character Frank is like one of the Viet Cong, and he thinks that they're coming to kill him. Like he's having a PTSD flashback mental breakdown, and it's tied to his character. Like that's who the character is. And it's sort of tragic in a way too. And then in the reworked version for the remaster, they just cut all of that, and he just calls the player like, you're a monster, you're a mongrel or something like that. They just cut it all out. And it is such a bummer. Like it is such a bummer because they do it with a lot of the characters too, where there's the one like Asian psychopath that, let's be honest, in the original game had a fairly stereotypical accent, and it was a bit much, but they redid all of that and changed it. Let me see if I can find it. Maybe. Yeah. Some of this stuff.
Everyone used to laugh at me. I was a
Like some of it, I like the changes. This one I think is good. This is the one I was just describing. Yeah, falls on his chainsaw. Chainsaw.
You can't tell me, can you, fella? Oh yeah, I know why. It's because you're Viet Cong. It's because you're a mole. I'm right, aren't I? You are nothing but a filthy communist. You are nothing but a filthy animal.
See what I mean? Like, why did they need to change it? They're not agreeing with his political take, this guy having mental breakdown in a zombie apocalypse. It's just what the character would think. Like, it's what I don't understand about the way some of these people think that are trying to like redo and rewrite stuff like this. Just because a character thinks something does not mean that you are endorsing that character's perspectives. It's okay to have a character that says something bad or says something that you find insensitive. Like, that's okay, you know? It's like, it's this Puritan approach, you know? It's this Puritan approach. I knew somebody who was from another time in my life who was, let's just say, very fundamentalist. Not this person, not a fan of gay people, for example. And I did a play where my character was a young gay man. And this person was mortified. You would have thought that I just went up on stage. Like, there was nothing graphic or anything. There's just dialogue where the character says that he's gay. Like, that's all there is. He has a line describing that. And as the actor playing that part, I said that line. This guy thought that, like, I was up there murdering puppies and stuff. Like, tried to basically have an intervention, like all this crazy stuff. And then I did another show called The Last Days of Judas Iscariot, where it's an interesting play. Basically, it's just the trial of Judas Iscariot in hell, like before a judge trying to determine his sentence for what he was for betraying Jesus. And, you know, they talk about, well, he was predestined to do it, and so was it. It's a really interesting kind of discussion of these different religious topics from kind of an outside lens in this like courtroom setting, and it's also kind of funny and crazy. It's a whole thing. And in that play, I played Satan. I played the devil himself. And that same person didn't have a problem with me doing that play for some reason, where I played the devil. But they did have a problem with me playing a gay character in another play called A Bright New Boise. I don't know why they had a problem with, well, I do know why. They had a problem with the gay character, but were totally fine with me playing Satan. It's really bizarre. But with all this, like this weird Puritan approach where like there are some things that they just do not want to tolerate or consider. It's the same kind of vibe with this, where they have a character describing like, you're a filthy communist. And they're like, well, actually, you know, I have some communistic leanings and tendencies. So we're just going to cut all of that out because I don't want people thinking that I think that. It's like, no, it's a character. Okay. You don't, even if you are a full blown communist, a dirty communist, you can write a character that doesn't like communists, and that's okay. Like it doesn't, it's not a problem. Like, it's why so many of these games, I'm sorry, Jacob, you can trim that out because it's a bit of a diatribe. But the point of all this is I think this is why so many of these modern games feel so milquetoast and plain and kind of just like nothing, you know, because they don't, like the writers don't want to even put their mind into the space of somebody they disagree with because they can't. So they just don't tolerate it at all. Like they just cut any interesting dynamics or things that they wouldn't like out of the dialogue and out of the text. And it takes me back. There was a study where they actually tied like people's IQ and mental capabilities to whether or not they could entertain hypotheticals. So, for example, if I just ask you, it's a common thing where they do narcissistic tests when they're testing for malignant narcissists and stuff, where they'll ask somebody, okay, I give you a box, open the box, and inside the box you see 3 postage stamps. And then you seal the box up, okay? So if I were to ask you how many postage stamps are in there, how many? The person probably says 3. You say, okay, now imagine you are some homeless guy sitting on the street, and he finds that same box on the ground, and he opens it up. What's he gonna he's about to open it up, but before he opens it up, what will he think is inside? There are some people who cannot think from somebody else's perspective, and they will say, oh, they'll think there's 3 postage stamps inside before they open it, because they cannot put themselves into the position of the person that did not already know what was inside. They cannot think hypothetically. They can't remove their mind and put it somewhere else. And it's the same thing with writing, where like they cannot think from another person's perspective to evaluate the world through that lens. And so they just don't. They just shut it down. It's why like people can live lives where they have no sympathy for others because they cannot put themselves into that spot. They can't mentally do it. It's the same thing when you find out that it's something like 30% of the population does not have an internal monologue. You know, I heard that and I was shell shocked, but I did some more digging and apparently it's true. Some of you guys watching this now probably don't have internal monologues, which if you don't know what that means, like, you know, when you sit not saying anything out loud, but you can kind of think to yourself in words and you can think through stuff. So I can like just sit here and I can look around the room and I can see and kind of say in my mind, I could pick up my phone there and I could move it over there and I could plug a charger into that wall, but I have to take the cable out of here. And I can kind of talk that through in my brain. Some people don't have that. They can't do that. Yeah, some people, I see Alex, Nubifer Noda says, I don't have an internal monologue. I think in pictures. See, that's really interesting. Pseudo says, yeah, that's crazy to me. Like, isn't that how thinking works? What do they think if not that? Yeah, my internal monologue is way too present. A lot of these people seem to be in high compassion but low on empathy. High compassion, low on empathy. That's interesting. I'll have to think about that. I'll have to think about that with my internal monologue. But no, that's an interesting distinction. I have to piece that apart. But yeah, a lot of people say, yeah, that's wild. They don't have a conscience. No, that's a different thing. Like psychopathy or sociopathy, which I think is the old term. Those are different things. But there are some people that just cannot, their brain doesn't work that way. They don't think in text and in words. They think in pictures, as people are saying in chat. They think in sort of broad motions, or it is pure impulse. My old landlord, very sweet guy, but I remember talking with him one night and he did not have an internal monologue. He did not think things like that. He just acted. And all of a sudden, like, it starts to make sense how he could get into like a lot of legal trouble, because he doesn't think, I want to do this, but if I do that, this will happen and I don't want that to happen, so I can't do it. He doesn't think like that. He just thinks, I want to do this, and then he just does it. You know, it's very, very interesting, but a lot of people have that difference in how they think, and I find it fascinating. Some people can't think in imaginary ways. Yeah, some people can't think. They can't evaluate consequence before they act. They can't think like that. They just do. It's very, very interesting. I'm sorry, Jacob. This has been a total diatribe. Maybe I should just restart this segment to streamline it a little bit for you, so it's it's easier. Jacob's sitting there just, oh my God, how are we going to cut this together into a segment? I'm sorry, Jacob. I can restart. I have an internal monologue and I can visualize things in my head too. Yeah, I think one really interesting thing you can do is you can try to play chess without looking at the board. Try that. See if you can do that. Because like when I was in high school as a fundraiser for our like chess team that we did, I played a simul against teachers in my school. And so I played three teachers at the same time, blindfolded. So I had to keep track of all three boards in my mind while they got to just sit at the board. So we set it up, you know, the stage in the little auditorium thing we had. And then they sat on the stage facing the audience, and they had three boards in front. And then one of my friends, Isaac, he would hear me call out a move, he'd make the move, and then he'd go board one, played E5, and then would do that. And it was very, very interesting, very fun, until he messed up on a move. I think I said like queen B4, but he heard queen C4, and so I had a different thing in my head, and he's like, he just took your queen. It's like, the queen wasn't where it could be taken. I didn't think. It was a whole thing. Yeah, literally.
Shout out to the chess club.
Yeah, straight up. I was the team captain of the chess club. But that is an example of being able to think it through images and think through a picture you have in your head of these boards, and then being able to set that board aside and put this one up there and think through that. And it's a really good exercise. And I'm not saying you start with 3 boards. I'm saying like maybe try just playing a game in your head and see if you can visualize it and maintain object permanence and stuff. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Am I a national master? No, I discovered girls and theater right around the time where I was starting to like pick up steam. So like I stopped playing in tournaments and I started doing like the school plays and musicals, and got totally sidetracked. But I still love chess. I'm quite rusty, but yeah, I'll probably at some point decide to focus on it. Who's ready for tomorrow? I don't think anybody's ready for tomorrow, dude. I'm just ready for this to be done. I told you guys, like we do gaming stuff. I don't like talking about politics stuff if I can help it. But I've had certain political organizations reach out to me and my team in various ways, trying to ask us to do basically sponsored content promoting one candidate over the other, because we have a lot of like young men in our audience, and young men are pretty crucial this cycle, it seems. It's like I've never had that happen before. But all I will say is if you see influencers siding with one candidate or like over the other, maybe take it with a grain of salt, because they are reaching out and like offering sponsorships to people to do it. It's like super slimy because they like don't want you to disclose that it's like it's very like, to me it made me feel as though they were asking us to do something that was not above board. It was really uncomfortable. And then once we started really asking clear details, which campaign are you affiliated with? I need you to say it in writing in this email. Say it. And then they just all of a sudden ghost us. But prior to that, they're like, no, well, you just be working with our organization. Are you directly affiliated with one campaign over another? They all of a sudden go quiet. So I think that there might be something a little sneaky going on there. But again, all I will say is if you see an influencer, especially a gaming influencer, talking about the election or anything, maybe take it with a grain of salt. Justice for Peanut. Oh yeah, the poor squirrel. Yeah, say his name. Say his name forever. What a tragedy. I did not have basically like Harambe 2.0, but in the form of a squirrel on my 2024 bingo card, but here we are. Yeah, justice for Peanut. I shall play squirrel with a gun in his honor. As should we all, I think. As should we all. Yeah. Okay, anyway. They're not legally obligated to say they're being paid. My understanding is that under like the Fair Trade Commission, like you have to disclose when you've been sponsored. But the tricky thing is apparently there are loopholes when it comes to like they wanted to promote Get Out the Vote, which is like a nonpartisan thing. You just get out and vote. But they wanted you to then, like after the sponsored segment is officially over, it sounded to me like they wanted you to then talk about how you should get out and vote. And also you should vote this way. But that recommendation was after the sponsored bit that they would just really appreciate if you would talk about and share your opinion. So it's like they were trying to vet, make sure people who were taking the deal were going to agree with them. And then they would pay you to do the get out the vote thing. And then afterwards, they encourage you to share your personal opinion that they hand selected and vetted for. So it seemed as though they were just like, again, it's super slimy. They just, there's many things about that whole thing that I've never seen before and made me extremely uncomfortable. And yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. It's very, it might be common with like vloggers or with like makeup YouTubers or something. I've never seen that spill into the gaming space. Like, I've never seen that spill into the gaming space, because gaming is typically kind of its own bubble, but this was the first time I saw it spill, and it was bizarre. It was bizarre. So we've seen little things where it's like get out the vote stuff, but this was like a big group. And not to just like pat myself on the back, but like we have pretty high rates for main channel stuff. If you want a sponsorship on the main channel, like it ain't no TikTok shop. I'll tell you that much. Like we have higher rates. And so the serious contenders, people who come in and actually can like are serious about it. It's not like a small single dude operation. Like this was a bigger organization and group effort. So anyway, okay, with this, I'm sorry, Jacob, I'm sorry. Let's, what even were we talking about? Let me put a pin in Dead Rising. Let's put a pin in Dead Rising. I want to talk about this, which I've mentioned before. But we should still talk about it here again. Where to go? Where's the tab? Okay, there. Let's talk about this one, and then I want to show you an example of why getting hyped for games is bad. Okay? You ready? Okay. Ubisoft, sorry. News Hour. Ubisoft boss says it knows players think it has an inconsistency in quality, so it delayed AC Shadows to flip that script. It's funny because this is like almost word for word exactly what I've been saying for months in our videos talking about Ubisoft, is that they have the perception of inconsistent quality. I would argue because they do have inconsistent quality. Some of the stuff they put out is really good, like Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. Other stuff they put out is, what's the technical term? Crap. So it's really hard to know whether you should put your money up front and buy a game at launch. We just earlier in this stream played their brand new NFT game that came out like 3 days ago. They launched an NFT game in 2024 like 3 days ago, 4 days ago, whatever it was. And in that game, in case you've not seen that segment, I don't know in which order Jacob will edit them or put them together, but in case you've not seen it, where's the history? Hold on. History, let me find Marketplace. In that game, people are selling their NFTs for $295 million. Okay? This is why people are not that confident in Ubisoft's decision-making right now, okay? Like, this is unreal that this exists. It's shocking. I would be upset over a $90 token, but there's people trolling in here with $128 million NFTs. It's crazy. It's insanity, okay? So, I do think that this is at least maybe a bit of self-awareness, to say the very least, that they are aware of this perception. Let's see. People have their gripes, but I still quite enjoy a big old Ubisoft open world. There's something about the studio's formula for things like AC and Far Cry that lets me achieve a zen state. Just me, a controller, a map with little icons to tick off, absolutely zero regions, my brain lighting up, bliss. I've said for a long time, these are junk food games. Think of eating popcorn or like those nerd gummy clusters that are dangerously addicting. You know, you can just pop them in and you're getting nothing from it. It's just like a little bit of sugar, little shot of dopamine, and that's it. But it's just enough to keep you grabbing another and another and another. And you can't really explain it, but you're hooked. That's what Ubisoft games are kind of like. You know, when they click. They don't always click, but when they do click, that's kind of what they are. They're junk food games. They give you no sustenance. There's not much meat on the bone at all, but you will be able to get a lot of it because there's a lot there. It's relatively cheap for how much is there. And it all tastes the same. And if you eat too much of it, you will get sick. But it's there. It's available to you. Not everybody will love it. Not everybody will want it, but still sells gangbusters nonetheless. So I do totally agree with that it is a good veg out kind of content. But Lord knows I'm not the market at large, and it's not difficult to find people criticizing the company for its game's sameness or writing or straight up technical bugs. Ubisoft knows that too, which is why AC's vice president and executive producer Marc-Alexis Cotier recently told Eurogamer that Ubisoft's portfolio has faced criticism in recent years for perceived inconsistency in quality, and that's why AC Shadows got pushed to February of next year. I mean, it was because of Star Wars Outlaws, and there's kind of two factors with this that work in tandem. That affect this. So with Ubisoft, they have a problem where up here there is like maybe we say jank, where there's a jankiness with their games where they don't tend to work super great at launch. They might be buggy, they might be broken. There's problems, right? And then tied with that is also the perception that the game is going to go on sale. And so what happens is, because people know that the games are probably janky and probably not working super great at launch, they wait for a sale. And because Ubisoft knows that you're going to wait for a sale, almost certainly, they're not going to bother polishing the game immediately because they can spend an extra month or two after launch polishing it, since you're just going to wait for a sale anyways. So why put in the extra effort up front to polish it up if you're just going to wait for a sale? So it's just this cycle where the game is janky, so people wait for a sale, but Ubisoft keeps the games janky and never fixes them ahead of time because they know you're just going to wait for a sale. So because you're just going to start here or end up here no matter what, they end up leaving it janky. And it eventually devolves into sort of where they've ended up now, which is that very few people want to buy a Ubisoft game at launch on day one at full price because they know it's probably going to be a little buggy and janky, and they know they can get it for 30, 40, 50, 60% off in a few months. So why would you? Why would you buy it on day one? Unless it's like a game you have been waiting years for or something, which Ubisoft doesn't typically have. So it's certainly been the issue. And Star Wars Outlaws is the prime example of it, where they just kind of, I mean, they had a Star Wars open world game, but because of AI problems that were just, the AI was brain dead and not compelling at all, because of all these problems with polish and refinement and the facial animations and things like that, people weren't confident in buying it day one. I do think a lot of people will buy it on like Black Friday, will buy it over Christmas and be like, I can't believe people said this was bad. I'm having a really good time. I do think a lot of people will enjoy Star Wars Outlaws, especially once it's been fixed. Apparently they have a huge update coming on the 21st that will fix most things. We'll try it. We'll see if it actually does, but they say that they're going to be doing a big overhaul to like the AI and all of that stuff. So we're going to try that. But going back to like the cycle, they should have just done that up front, and then I could have given it an easy recommend as like an 8 something out of 10, meaning this goes away and you should just buy the game. And then they don't need to put it on sale because the game is really good now and they can keep it at full price or close to it, which is what Nintendo does all the time. They release typically relatively polished games, and they never need to put it on sale because they know you're going to buy it no matter what. So things just stay at full price forever. But I think he is correct that there's inconsistent quality, or at the very least a perception. Notice how the corporate speak. There's a perceived inconsistency in quality, implying maybe that perception is not accurate, but nonetheless, there's a perception there. But like we've said many times on this channel, perception is the reality you have to deal with. And so at least they're acknowledging that. Quote, players can afford to be selective, choosing only the best, and they rightfully demand excellence. Your average player in 2024 expects, quote, more polish, more innovation, and deeper engagement from the games we release, and they're not shy about letting us know when they feel we have fallen short. Boy, ain't that the truth. Indeed. Indeed. What's it leaky to? Steam review bombing is gaming's most powerful method of protest. 3 key takeaways from Helldivers 2 Weekend Meltdown. That's funny. Yeah, it's players certainly will let you know, and the other piece is they'll let you know even when it's not like maybe when it's not totally fair. Hello, how are you?
It's okay. How's you?
I'm good. This is the Dragon Age Queen. She's arrived.
Hooray.
Quick Spark Notes. What do you think of it?
I'm enjoying it. I haven't played enough of it to like thoroughly give a review. But there are little bits and bobs where they reference Dragon Age 2 in the first like 6 hours. So that's I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, little nods.
I
a lot
appreciated
of people are saying that the game's way bigger than they thought it would be. It just keeps going and going. I think most people are saying it's like 50 to 60 hours. So I think you're like
I'm in the beginning. I feel like I'm still in a tutorial, honestly.
Yeah. I will say I think that there's a lot of I think that I have a problem with how they kind of pace stuff. Like I want to start building like my mage in a very particular way with like, ooh, ice effects over here. But you have such limited loot, you can't really do that until you get more gear. That happens way later. So you can't really fine tune your builds. Oh, hey, Finley. So I don't know. I think I just would appreciate more high quality loot early on, but it's also a big game. So
No, I'm pumped.
yeah. Oh, hello. Hello.
Where did you come from?
I'm wearing a black shirt. This is going to end badly.
Easy, bye-bye.
Bye, Vinny. Bye, babe.
Bye.
Oh, Finley. So much fluff. Yeah. He's like a little attention whore, I think is the technical term. So he will just sit on the keyboard. He'll sit right in front of the monitor so I can't see anything. And then like I'll try to move him and then he'll just jump right back up, or he'll chew on cables because he knows it gets my attention. Like I tried getting them like a cat bed and setting it back there, hoping they would like sleep in here while I streamed and stuff. But no, he's a drama king. He's like, you will pay attention to me and you will like it. He's so funny. Anyway, let's see. Okay, continuing on. In other words, Ubisoft has been stung by all the criticism it's gotten, and, quote, Assassin's Creed Shadows represents our opportunity to change that narrative, not just for AC, but I think for Ubisoft as a whole. Hence, the shift to a February release after originally being penned for November. In today's market, being amongst the best is just not enough anymore. I was talking to Jacob about this and my brothers about it. I was like, dude, have gamers like expectations outpaced reality? Or are the expectations still fair? Because even now, like with polish, for example, Dragon Age Veilguard honestly is probably the most polished game, technically speaking, that I've played in a hot minute. It really is that good. Even other games like Baldur's Gate 3, Act 3 was broken as hell. There are still bugs where you can't get through certain quest lines in Baldur's Gate, depending on certain actions you take. Like, it's still pretty buggy. And so, like, I think to that extent, having polished games, people are not expecting perfection, but I do think people are expecting it to run on console, have a performance mode at 60, and people are expecting games to not have like game-breaking bugs, which I think has always been the expectation. So I don't think those technical demands have gotten outpaced. I do think like you'll see people really freak out about games being locked to 30, for example. But even when people freaked out over Starfield being locked at 30 on console, it still had the biggest launch of any Bethesda game ever. So even the $60 or the 60 FPS thing, I'm not sure if that directly translates to sales. Dragon's Dogma 2 also did not run particularly great at launch, but that also sold millions of copies. So I'm not sure if the FPS thing also translates. There's a lot of noise around it, but I'm not sure if it actually translates. As for like the quality and innovation and stuff and those expectations, I think that's where people are at. People don't want to spend $70 for a game that feels just like something they played 5 years ago. People want there to be a step forward. People want things to be improved. And when they just play something that feels like a carbon copy of something they've played before, I think that they are less willing to put up with it now than they were maybe 8-9 years ago, where you could pump out very similar games where it's like, oh, it's just another open world, but it's in a different setting. And you could probably get away with that. It's the same thing where like these big companies are thoroughly confused that they spend $200 million on something and it doesn't automatically succeed. You know, it's like, well, but we spent so much money on it. What do you mean you guys don't like it? It's because people are more complicated than that. People have expectations beyond that, you know? So I don't think players' expectations have outpaced what's realistically possible. I think players just expect AAA games to be cutting edge. And I think that that's fair. If you're going to charge literally top dollar, the max price you can charge for a game without being ridiculed, then you should be able to provide an experience that is top notch, that is better than what you could get elsewhere. And if you can't deliver that, if you can't do that, you probably shouldn't be charging. You probably shouldn't be charging what you're charging. You know. So that's kind of where I'm at least. I'm like, I think we should be. Expectations tied to price are much more clear cut now. I think that's a big thing. Let's see. So to boil it down, it sounds like Kotia is saying Shadows was in a good but not great spot for a November release, at least in Ubisoft's Ubisoft's estimation, and that the game has been delayed to give it a chance to reach that next level of quality before it gets into players' hands. What that translates to in non-executive speak is harder to say. Was the game going to be a train wreck if it launched in November? Would it have been just a little buggy? If has Ubisoft been spooked by the outrage confected by the most tedious people on the internet about the game starring a black samurai in hopes that by delaying it that particular storm in a teacup will blow over? This is kind of like it's a strange way to phrase it. I think people's frustrations with Yasuke as a playable character, some people are, to be clear, some people are just like total like racist buffoons about it. I've seen some of those in the comment section, and I've gotten comments where like one guy was like, "You've been deleting my comments on your video about AC Shadows," and I looked up his username, and I hadn't deleted anything. It was YouTube's automated comment moderation system because he was comparing Yasuke to a certain animal that lives in trees, and so YouTube flagged that and blocked his comments. Shocker, right? So there's people like that. But I think that is, maybe this is overly like generous, but I think that those people represent a minority of the people that are upset about Yasuke. I think the reason a lot of people are kind of upset about the whole thing is because Ubisoft has been trying to act as though they were not sort of trying to push for diversity first and foremost, and that they were not trying to pander to people. They were like, no, it just honestly was the best choice narratively that we had. And then Yasuke comes on screen, and then like this hip hop inspired music kicks on. It's like, okay, like we know what you're trying to do. Like we know what you're doing. Okay. Don't lie to us. Like we know. If you were just like, hey, yeah, we're trying to create the most diverse cast we can. At least then you're just being real with us. But it's the gaslighting that I really can't stand. Do I think that makes a good game bad? No. But it certainly does not make me particularly like thrilled to talk about the game. It's just kind of like annoying. So I think there's that. As for whether it blows over the outrage, honestly, I don't think like Asmongold's fans were ever going to play AC Shadows. So I don't think that that's really there. Yeah, Yasuke, as knows nobody, says on Twitch, Yasuke's it's been bizarre. He's been in other games and anime as well. Yeah, there's certain things Ubisoft cannot get away with, but that other companies could. Like with Neo, wasn't Yasuke in Neo as well? I'm pretty sure. So like, I think that there's that, but I don't think like Asmongold's group was ever going to buy this. So even if they are very vocally outraged by it, I don't think that translates to lost sales because I don't think they were ever going to buy it anyways. The problem is that it diminishes the number of people willing to make earned media for the game promoting it, which is a problem. Whenever there's like a big upcoming game for Ubisoft, their hope is that they can spend X amount of dollars on marketing for it. And then, you know, they can, let's just do it this way. Boop. They're hoping they can spend out of their total marketing budget. If we just do a pie, let's do a pie. Okay. I can't make a circle. Oh my God. Let's say they do that, or I could do a shape. Ooh, that's way better. So they're hoping that they can spend this much money on earned or on paid media. Okay. So these are things like trailers or sponsored I tried videos or whatever, where they do that. They might fly some people out to try the game or something like that. That's how much money they're spending there. And their hope is that they can then earn all of this media where YouTubers are talking about the game, where streamers are talking about it, TikTokers are making little videos screaming at their audience. Did you know that Assassin's Creed Shadows is a big upcoming game? Make sure to tell your little brother to create a secondary account and follow me, and I'll give away a PlayStation 5 and not tell anyone who won. You know, that kind of thing. That's what they're hoping for, is that this happens because that can justify this initial spending. The problem, though, is that when there's a huge like scandal around the game, nobody wants to talk about it because it's not worth the headache. So instead of all that, they might generate like this much earned media from like the diehard channels. But other people are just not going to bother talking about it. They're just not going to bother. So then you just have this void. And this is what you need to make up. So either they need to spend a lot more on marketing, which often doesn't really look well. It comes off as like really desperate when you start really going into overdrive for a game people consider uncool. Or you just have to lower expectations for how much the game is going to sell, or it's not going to sell at launch. It's going to make that up on the back end. But this is the big kind of problem with something like Shadows. I don't think like Asmongold's crew is ever going to buy it. They might be the most upset about it. I don't think they're ever going to buy it though. But I do think that you'll see a lot of YouTubers just not willing to deal with the headache of talking about it and the wave of comments. Even now, like you make a video on Veilguard that's not positive, or even if it's not overwhelmingly positive, and you'll see people coming in to the comment section, like attacking people over liking it. And it's just like, do I want to deal with that headache or just talk about something not as controversial? A lot of people just choose not to bother with it. And I can't say I blame them. So, and I will say I spoke to one person who's an employee at Ubisoft who told me, I would not blame any of you content creators if you didn't want to talk about AC Shadows at all. He said, I would not blame you. He's like, I've seen the comment sections. I've seen how these people treat those who are willing to give the game a shot. It's like, I don't blame you if you wanted to just never talk about it. And I was like, if somebody at Ubisoft is saying that, that's pretty bad. You know, they know it. So I don't know if this blows over. I think at some point you just have to kind of like just get the game out the door and move on. Like, you're not going to undo the drama. It is what it is. Grums will still be upset about it. Asmund will still be upset about it. I don't think they were ever going to buy the game anyways. So you just kind of do what you're going to do and try to ignore it as best you can. I think that's all they can do at this point. Well, we might be able to gain some insight into where his mind is or went next. AC Unity, which was meant to be Ubisoft's big splashy debut on then new generation consoles back in 2014, but that became a laughingstock over the sheer number of sometimes nightmarish bugs players ran into. Quote, its reception at launch, marred by technical issues, left a deep impact on all parts of the company from production to publishing, especially given Ubisoft's roots as a French company. That's what was particularly egregious about Unity, is that it was supposed to be like their big moment, like, let's show the world our culture and our city and like let's really do it right. And it was the biggest disaster they've probably ever had as a company, which is remarkable. You know, it's remarkable. He goes on, that was a low point for the studio, I imagine. But it also taught the devs how crucial it was to maintain the quality and integrity of the player experience from day one, a lesson that lives with us to this very day, which sounds to me like Shadows was maybe a little too busted to putting out as early as this month and risking Ubisoft running into another Unity-style fiasco. I mean, imagine if they launched Shadows and it was broken, as broken as Unity. Because if Cotier is saying... like his train of thought, if it really is Shadows was broken, Shadows needed a delay, we delay, and then it went to we need to like player expectations and bugs. And then his thought process went to Unity, and that's what we want to avoid. Unity was not just unpolished. Unity was broken. Unity was busted. So if that's his thought process, that makes me think Shadows was well behind where it needed to be. And so even in February when it launches, it still might not be there. But you know, time will tell. But with all this, I think at least they're aware of the perception. I don't think that necessarily will be fixable. But we'll see. They have a lot of work to do. I don't think they can just dig Shadows out of the pit that it's in right now. I think it's just going to be the way that it is. Yeah. Proto says, Asmund started off Dragon Age Velgar with an extremely negative bias, making jokes about random stuff and overly critical of stuff, and ended up giving it a 6 to 7. Imagine if he started the game off unbiased. I mean, based where I'm at, if the writing stays where it's at now, I could easily see it landing for me in that like 6 to 7 out of 10 range. Because right now I'm trying to find like the hook that's going to keep me going for 60 hours. And I have not found it yet. I can see little rumblings. Maybe I'm going to find one companion particularly really compelling, and maybe that's going to do it for me. But as of right now, I just haven't really found that yet. But I think somewhere in the 7 range is probably fair. I think if you're really turned off by some of the like cringy dialogue and writing, it's going to be an easy 6 for you. But I think a 7 is a solid starting point. If you're a big Dragon Age fan, maybe it's a +1, +2, but I think that's probably fair. Watching from France, love what you're doing. Keep it up. Thank you, my friend. Glad to have you. Low expectations can make you enjoy a game better. I do think if you have proper expectations, or if you have, how do I say this? There's a difference between low expectations in the colloquial sense. Like I'm expecting this to not be very good. There's a difference between that and going in with just a total blank slate in your mind. There's a big difference there. And I think sometimes there's a little bit of conflation that happens where people might want to, like, they'll go into Veilguard expecting it to be bad, and then it ends up not being bad, so they end up at like the 6 or the 7. You know, it's not downright horrible, it's just not particularly good. But if you go in with just a blank slate, I think you might land a little bit more positive because you're not trying to poke holes the entire time. I have to try very, very hard with some games that have had a lot of mess around them, like a Concord or a Suicide Squad, where it's like, I don't want to like hand wave anything away that this game is doing. But I also don't want to nitpick and be like a total jerk about stuff that's perfectly reasonable to have in a game like this. So it's a balancing act as always, but yeah. Anyway, the thing is, people want two things from Dragon Age: good writing and tactical gameplay. Veilguard is neither. Depends on what people you're talking about. I know several people who are big Dragon Age fans who are really enjoying the game. They enjoy the change in combat. They enjoy the change kind of in tone. So far, when they finish the game, they might disagree, but players are not a monolith, you know? Anyway, let me catch up on these. Lonely, thank you for the 2. Luke, have you seen the fake GTA 6 clone Paradise? No, there's a GTA 6 clone called Paradise. Oh, on Epic Games.
Welcome to the city of limitless possibilities, where your dreams become reality. Welcome to the paradise. The most realistic world simulation powered by AI.
Hey, are you a real person or an NPC?
I don't have time for your nonsense. Move along.
Hey, what's your name?
Hey, not sure if we've met. I'm Thomas. I work over at the shop down the street.
Play and talk with avatars of real influencers powered by AI.
Hi, I'm Alex. How's it going?
Hi, Alex. I'm Eva. Welcome to the Paradise game. I'm super excited to hear all about your day.
Get ready for missions.
She looked super excited.
Jobs, and daily in-game activities. Earn money and crypto to build your empire. Live the life. Buy real estate, businesses, cars, stylish clothes, and more. See you in paradise.
Paradise, play now. Oh, so you can actually play it. Interesting. Died in 2023, born in 2024. Welcome back to the day before. Something's telling me those Lamborghinis are not licensed. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, the crypto bit. Sounds like money laundering. I not heard of that. That's funny though. I'll have to dig into that more. That's funny. I'm guessing most of these assets are free. Yeah, I'm guessing most of it's free. But they say you can play it. They say you can play it, and it's on the Epic Game Store. So, and maybe we do this the next stream or something. Yeah, it's available. Oh wait, it says wish list. So is it not available? Can you not play it? Play game. Coming soon. Okay, so it's not actually available right now. Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on it. You know me, I love weird, crazy games that seem like scams. It's always very entertaining. So yeah, we'll check that out. We'll keep an eye on that. Thanks for telling me. That's good. Let's see. Basit, thank you for that. Hello, good sir. Saw your vid on the Horizon Remaster. Wanted to ask you and your viewers if there's any date on how big a hit, or data on how big a hit to the system requirements the remaster is. My 3050 runs Horizon Zero Dawn at very high, struggled with Forbidden West. I think it's, in terms of load and demand, it's similar to Forbidden West. It's not like 1-to-1, but it's close. So I think if you struggled with Forbidden West, it'll also struggle with this. I think so. Let's see. Lonely Fates, thank you for the 2. Oh, I just read that one. Taylor Bunker, thank you for the 5. Can't wait for Showa American Story to stereotype the shit out of everything. For Showa American... I'm not sure what that is. Showa American Story? I'm sorry. Somebody will need to explain that to me. I don't know what Showa American Story... Showa is amazing looking. It's a game, Showa American. Oh, really? Showa American Story. Oh, this thing. Okay, yeah. No, this one. My brain broke when I heard it. I was like, I don't know what that is, but yeah, now that I see the key art. Yeah. Very bizarre. Brand new RPG, love letter to 80s pop culture, features strong taste to B movies. Yeah, I love games that don't take themselves super seriously. Yeah. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Okay. Thank you for that. Distinguished Dragon, thank you for that. I got access to the Destiny Rising mobile.
_Rabbit is now a member.
Ooh, whitest.
I was excited to get the new Monster Hunter game, but after playing the beta, I realized I'm too dumb to play that game and navigate the controls.
It's not just you. The controls are clunky. It is not just you. Many people, even veterans of Monster Hunter, agreed that the controls were a little clunky. So don't write it off just yet. We all were feeling that. So it's going to get tightened up as it gets closer to launch. But yeah, it's not just you. It's not just you. Let's see. What was I? Distinguished. Think of that. I got access to the Destiny Rising mobile game closed alpha, and I like it. I think it's very fun. Paul Tassi says Destiny 2 could learn a few things. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people that are Destiny fans mention that it feels like they've put more effort into the mobile game than into Destiny 2 itself recently. So yeah, I do not blame you. I think a lot of people are in the same boat. But I've heard good things. I just heard I've heard people say that it's basically Destiny, but with gacha mechanics and not much other reason to play. So if you like gacha games, it's probably going to be right up your alley. But if you don't, it's like, don't even bother getting hooked. Cave, thank you for the sub with Prime as well, my friend. Let's see. Optimus Prime. I would love Dragon Age Origin remake, but looking at this, a lot would be cut, even a whole quest line, because it's insensitive. Yeah, probably, honestly. That's why sometimes with remakes, it's like maybe you don't actually wish for that. Maybe not. Enigma, thank you for the sub with Prime as well. Blake, thank you for that. 5, in a narrative RPG, writing and dialogue is most important, honestly. If it's bad, I don't even want to bother playing it. That's why I think there's a really compelling argument to be made that Dragon Age the Veilguard is not actually an RPG in the way people might expect it to be. It is much more of an action game, which is fine. Doesn't mean it's what you're wanting, though. That's the difference. It's like with AC Odyssey. I think AC Odyssey as an open world adventure game, even as an RPG to a certain extent, really good. Really good. as an Assassin's Creed game, it's hot garbage. But if you are meeting it where it's at, if you play it for what it is, you can have a really good time. Same thing with like Fallout 4. Fallout 4, I used to just look at it from the perspective of like it's an RPG, right? They say it's an RPG. So if it's not a good RPG, it's therefore a bad game. And it's like, I think you can have a lot of fun with Fallout 4 if you play it as an open world, like looter shooter style game. I think you have a really good time with it there, but I think if you try to play it as an RPG, you're gonna be disappointed. Just personally think you will be. But that's where you gotta just try it. And it depends on what you like. It depends on what you want. But I think a lot of these games mismarket themselves and they try to go for the buzzwords where they're like, ooh, it's an RPG because RPGs are popular. So we'll just say it's an RPG, even though at this point that doesn't really mean much of anything. So they kind of get themselves into trouble. But if you play Veilguard not as an RPG, but you play it as like an action game, an action adventure style game, you can actually have a really good time with it. And it's like, oh, actually, I'm okay. I see what you're doing. But if you're hoping for like a BioWare intense RPG, yeah, you're probably not going to be that thrilled. Which is why when people are like, oh, it's not a great RPG, I'm like, no duh. Yeah, but anyway. Whitest Rabbit, thank you again for that. And I think with that, we are caught up. Let me transition to this. Boo, 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 boo. Okay. Move that tab over. All right. So. New segment. Okay. We are headed into what will likely be the biggest year in gaming in over a decade in terms of like revenues in single player games. I don't know about the mobile market. That's where most of the money goes. But in terms of like console games and PC games, this coming year is going to be huge. Huge. There's going to be a ton. So, and right now there's also some things that have not been announced that, you know, people are hearing rumblings about that very well could end up seeing the light of day. And if they do, ooh, baby, they might get pushed to 2026, but either way, next year is going to be insane. And with that are going to come crazy levels of delusion. Hype, I think, will be a big problem for some of these games. And I like to pull up a clip from E3 2015 to just demonstrate with perfect 2020 hindsight why hype can be so dangerous, okay? And what it can do to people. We talked a lot about this clip we'll look at when we were discussing Starfield in the lead up to that game's launch. So some of you guys might recognize it, but when people tie themselves to certain game releases, to certain consoles, to certain companies, it can make them sound like dangerously unstable, even though they are otherwise very well-adjusted people and very nice, kind, hardworking people. It can break your brain. It's why we sell on LukeStevensTV.com, we sell the Hype Makes You Stupid shirt, because I think it's accurate. I think a lot of the time hype can twist your perception of reality to the point where you will say some insane things and justify some crazy things as well. If you're really hyped for X game and then it starts showing up that like it's not super polished or there's some weird design choices here and there, you'll start to hand wave stuff away. No, it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you just want to stay hyped about it. At the same time, though, I want to be clear before we get into this that my disdain for hype does not mean you can't be excited. And this is where perhaps definitions come into it. Being excited for a game is fine. That to me is tied to like intrigue and interest. That's totally fine. You can be intrigued or interested in a game and excited for a game. That doesn't mean you're hyped. Hype is when you are so down the rabbit hole that you begin speculating about stuff. You begin watching like those speculation videos on what's Elder Scrolls 6 going to have. I heard it's going to have this or that, or the GTA 6 stuff. Actually, it has full closed circuit TV cameras. Or the one guy I saw that was saying it's going to have a whole paternity system. So if you go to a strip club, you can sleep with a stripper. And if she gets pregnant, the DNA test that tracks the player's DNA could have you found responsible for the baby. And so then you'll have to pay your baby mama alimony out of your in-game currency collections. And it's like, I think we're getting silly. I think we're too far down the rabbit hole. Okay. That's the kind of hype we're talking about, when people just get so obsessed with one thing that they like lose their mind. You see it usually once or twice a year where there is just la, 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 la. They stick their fingers in their ears and they're not willing to entertain any feedback, critical or otherwise. Unless you agree with them, you're a hater, that type of thing. That's what we want to avoid, and that's what we push to call out. And this clip I'm going to show you is from E3 2015. You will think that it's a skit. You will think that this is fake. It is not, okay? These are real human beings. Some of them still work in the industry today. Others have left that we'll talk about. But you're about to see somebody who is so deeply hyped for what was at the time an upcoming very hype game, No Man's Sky. And you're about to see what happens when you give your brain over to hype. It will rot out any critical thinking and it will make you emotionally unstable, okay? Are you ready for this? Take it in. This is from a panel for Games Trailers Live, GT Live. And these are 4 games journalists, okay? To set the scene. This is from E3 2015. This is after a series of showcases where Sean Murray, the guy at Hello Games, he was showcasing the game on stage and describing how amazing and epic it was going to be. This is when the hype really started to build. The game wouldn't come out until the year following, but this is when it was really reaching a fever pitch. People were starting to really get out of control hyped. The people here, man on the far left, this guy is kind of the play it straight games journalist. This is the guy I would consider a friend. I don't know him. I don't remember his name. But if I did know him, this would be my dude, okay? You'll hear him keep a level head and look at things very, very, very critically, and I think fairly, okay? The man next to him is a guy named Ben Moore, okay? Pay close attention to him. He is the one that will eventually do the review for the game. He's the one that will eventually cover the game in a lot of detail, but he is our subject. He is the one that is hyped. And then these two guys over here, I think this guy is more just like ambivalent. He doesn't really care. And then this guy is going to like troll Ben without Ben realizing, because he thinks he's agreeing, but he's actually kind of making fun of him. So let's get into it.
Trying to think about that. I was trying to think like if video games could just be things where you go into...
You need to think about that in silence during this Just Played. I'm going to let you do that.
Okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That
That's
is
an
actually
option.
a really good question. Yeah. I respect it. I like it.
Today's been full of really good questions. We are in no shortage for quips, for intelligent responses, for careful analysis, for pointed questions. With Phil lost it. We're good.
A little bit more context. There were people behind the scenes that were confused by the hype that No Man's Sky had. People did not understand. Some people did not understand why people were so hyped, because at this time they had shown the same planets 15 times. They had shown the same areas a bunch. And they were making all these promises, but there was one thing missing, which was, what do you do? What makes this fun? How is this a game? And it was something they could never really answer, which should be like the biggest of all red flags. You know, it was even a problem with Starfield when Todd said in an interview they didn't find the fun until like 2021. They designed the game for years and still didn't know how to make it fun until they got to that point. They didn't start with a fun idea. They started with this idea that they want to make this big epic space whatever game. And they're like, we'll figure out how to make it enjoyable as a video game later. I'm not sure if they succeeded, but yeah, it's still unanswered to this day. But that is something that some people were aware of. And this is kind of what he's beginning to troll with, which is that there are questions to be asked, but not many people want to answer them. So let's get into it. That's kind of what he's setting the stage for.
Oh, boy. 2 more days. All right, 2 more days. All right, here we go. Okay. All right, professional. Okay,
oh, 2015 game coverage.
I'm ready. Standing for this one. I'm ready. I know what it is. I know exactly what it is.
I know exactly
We're all
what
standing.
it is.
Okay, we're all standing.
Here we go.
They know
I'm
that.
actually really good.
Bring us home, Ben. Okay. Bring us.
They know Ben is like hardcore hyped for this game, and so they know that this is potentially going to be contentious when they confront him over it.
All right. Okay. This is the one. This is the one I want information about the more than any other game. Oh, how it feels, how it plays. No, I want information. I want facts.
Okay.
So I imagine you two guys like detectives. Okay, and you're going down to E3. You'll notice we're standing for this one. We're pumped because we need information about this. Yes. You know, it's just like, okay, we're excited about this game, but I'm nervous about this, or like, oh, we're not excited about it, but I want to hear good news. I need a hook. I need the thing of No Man's Sky. I need to know, okay, we're getting to the center of the galaxy, great, but what am I doing? I'm going to a planet and I'm just smelling flowers and then I fly somewhere else? What is happening in this game? Spend more.
Great question. This is a video game. What do you do? How is it fun? Seems like a fair question. An important question. Because at the end of the day, these are video games. These are supposed to be fun things we do for fun. Or to experience some story or a piece of art or this or that. But there's got to be some hook there. There has to be a there. And with a lot of these games that get super, super hyped, you'll notice often there's not a clear hook. You know, there's tons of promises, but there's not a lot of specifics. It's all very vague and ambiguous. And, well, it's going to be you create your own hook. You create your own story. And that's about it.
Sean Murray would not like you. He wouldn't like you. I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm going to rewind this. Because this is a line unironically spoken, as far as I can tell. That sounds similar to what a religious zealot would say when you question the faith. Jesus wouldn't like you.
But what am I doing? I'm going to a planet and I'm just smelling flowers and then I fly somewhere else? What is happening in this game? Spend more.
Sean Murray would not like you. He wouldn't like you. I'm sorry.
All right.
And
that's fine.
No, hold on.
Whoa.
Cool. Like what? What? Imagine if I was like, hey guys, I don't think Starfield's that good. And somebody replies to me, their counter, Todd Howard wouldn't like you. Okay. Like, cool. I don't care. He can do what he does. I'm looking at the video game. Like, what are you talking about? It's such a bizarre way to start.
The reason I am the most the reason that I am most excited for this Just Played is because this is the first, I've been working in this industry for 2 years. This is the first time that I feel like I had an emotional connection with a human being. Like, it wasn't
voice trembling. He says, I've worked in this industry for 2 years, and seeing Sean Murray showcase No Man's Sky, it's the first time I have felt an emotional connection with a human being. If that is not like the biggest red flag, I don't know what is. I don't know what is, man. That's if this happened and that like I was on this panel, I would be like, okay, are you joking? Because if you're not, I don't think we should have this conversation on camera. Like at this point, I'm not sure. Like I think you need a hug, frankly. Like this is worrisome, and part of this is like I'm struggling to figure out where where the trolling and joking starts and ends. Like he started this by saying Sean Murray wouldn't like you as if that was a counter. Maybe that was a joke. I'm not sure if this was a joke.
Just, hey, your game is cool. No, you said something that made me reflect on what it means to be alive, basically.
What about For Honor?
Whoa.
For Honor was different. It was like the game impressed me, but it was like, no, your vision, you going after your dreams, and the way that you said it, and the emotion with which you said it, really got to me. So there was a woman. I'm gonna jump to the end of this demo really quick. I need to say this. It's been burning inside me.
I want it.
The entire day. There was a woman who said exactly what you said. So we're going to the center of the galaxy. Why? What's the point? What's my motivation? What am I earning? And Sean Murray, what he wanted to do, the facial expression that he had is he wanted to grab this person that asked the question and shake them, but he didn't. He didn't. He gritted his teeth and he said, What is the point? What is the point of anything? He said, I have played so many games where I'm just going around and I'm collecting things to get stars, to get puzzle pieces. And those are all great. I've enjoyed all of those games. But he said, I'm excited about where games are going. Okay, Super Mario Brothers was the game that got me excited about games. But what I'm excited about is Minecraft, right? Kids today, they don't care about achievement points. They don't care about trophies. They care about how they can express themselves in a virtual world. And my dream is to give you infinite possibilities, to give you this space that you can fully explore. And I want to, as little as possible, I don't want to tell you what you should be doing. The impetus is on you. So in No Man's Sky,
emotional.
There is no point. You are trying to get...
It's again, there's a phenomenon in internet culture, okay, that I'm going to point out that I want you to keep in mind. It's called Poe's Law. Poe's Law is an adage of internet culture which says that without clear indication of the author's intent, any parodic or sarcastic expression of extreme views can be mistaken by some readers for sincere expression of these views. In other words, when somebody online is trying to like parody an extreme point of view, you can't really tell if it's serious or not because it's the same. An extreme view put out is the same as somebody making fun of an extreme view. They're indistinguishable. For this guy, he's so down the rabbit hole with this hype around this game and with the sort of deification of Sean Murray that you can't tell if he's trolling anymore. It's indistinguishable between trolling and being serious. The other thing I want to point out is that you'll hear the language is very like it's the language of faith. It's the language of religion. It's the language of indoctrination to a certain extent, where the first thing he says is Sean Murray wouldn't like you, as if that's supposed to put him in line, as if that's supposed to put him in check, that he wouldn't like you, therefore you must be wrong, because he can't be wrong. That's not how this works. He's a dude making a video game that ended up being pretty bad at launch. He's just a dude. But you've connected something deep and pushed him into this state where he's bigger than a human being. The language where he's saying, this woman asked this question, and I could tell Sean just wanted to shake her and explain to her. But he didn't. He said, I have to give you infinite possibilities. It's not about me telling you what to do. It's the same language somebody will give when they're describing the leader of their particular religious pursuit. It's bizarre. It's bizarre, is it not? it's crazy. And this is not just a video game industry thing. This happens across like comic books, movies. You see people talking about musicians. Have you ever see like those old videos of like Michael Jackson with fans? Let me see. Like the way that some people would act with him on stage was insane. Like he's literally just a dude singing, and the way people would react to him, sobbing and crying, was crazy. Trying to break on stage, trying to, like, they're just sobbing, getting the chance to meet him and stuff. Like he's just a dude singing. Yeah, it's Michael Jackson, but like he's just a musician. But they've taken a role like beyond human. It's a bizarre phenomenon, but some people do this with people that they like idolize. It's crazy. And it's weird to see it in the context of video games, where it's a game designer like nerd who's programming a video game, but people do it. People do it across industries. Across, you know, the human experience. It's a very common thing. It's bizarre.
Do it or don't. Sean Murray is no point. You are trying to get to the center of the galaxy. Do it or don't. Sean Murray doesn't care at all. He says the most popular way people have played his game is what they've done is they've found valuable resources like fuel, which is one of the most valuable. They've bought it for a really cheap price in one system. They've flown to another system, figured out that they could sell it for a super high price, and they've done that for dozens of hours. They've just been traders, right? But they don't pick the trader class. They organically figure out that this is something that's exciting to them. This is how they want to play the game.
Right, but right here at this Just Play is the first time I've ever heard the word trading. Like you can trade.
Yeah, there's classes in it? There's no classes. It's just those people. That's what they became.
Can you be a monster?
Who are you trading with? Can you go to different planets and like hunt monsters and get their
you
skins?
You can be okay. So here was something that shocked me about No Man's Sky. Okay, so he's running around and there's this creature. It kind of looks like a ram, but it's purple. That's the best way I can describe it.
Sure,
I'm
purple
sorry.
ram, okay.
And he has his laser gun, which he can use to mine, but he can also use to shoot things. He shot the purple ram. Okay, all of a sudden. There's a wanted level. I'm not kidding. That's what he called it, a wanted level. Space police came and they started.
Because you can't kill that rhino.
Right.
Yeah.
And they started attacking him.
Yeah.
And then he shot back, and then their wanted level increased. And then this battle cruiser came in and was like, "No, you can't do that here." And
the battle cruisers, I'm pretty sure, were not in the game at launch either, which also makes this a little sad. It's this, I don't know if it's just because I had one pastor when I was like a kid that talked in this same way, where he would start and get really loud and then you'd shoot it and then the police would come, but you can't do that here. You know, he'd go from really, really loud and then he'd get really precise and quiet. And you can do all these things. You can fly your ship around all these planets. You can look for things to do. You can trade fuel that's extremely valuable. You can go and hunt these monsters. But at the end of the day, you get to choose what you do. So I don't know if it's just that I had a pastor that did that, which is why, to me, this is like being in church again, hearing somebody, instead of preach like the gospel, preaching No Man's Sky. But it's really bizarre.
And he was so cagey about getting into the specifics. So again, speculation. But what it seemed like and what Sean Murray implied is that you don't know what you will encounter on different planets. And I felt for him. And I knew why he was so frustrated about answering what is the point. Because he legitimately, every single time he went to a new planet, he said, I don't know what's going to be here. There might be a police force that will come and reprimand you for doing these things.
Just watch his face. He is trying to figure out how the hell to even have a conversation about this, because he can see this is too far. Like, he's too far gone into the sauce. I will say this story does have, as far as I can tell, a happy ending. So don't think that this is just like, woe's me. Like, we'll talk about kind of the aftermath of this in a minute, but I want you to watch this guy because he's just trying to figure out how the hell to figure this out.
There might not be. There might be nothing. You might land on the planet and there's no life at all.
But at the same time, what you're talking about, like what you're saying, where you're like, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything in Spider-Man 2 for the PS2. You don't have to do anything in Grand Theft Auto 5.
No,
you don't have to do anything in Ghost Recon Wildlands. You don't have to do anything in Super Mario. But
it's different.
You can because there is this road.
That's the center of the universe.
You know what I mean? And
you
it's
get
like,
to the center of the universe.
Right.
That is your
and
kind of
when
carrot
Sean
on the
gets up
stick.
on stage and demos this game, he doesn't say, I don't care what you do. You can do whatever the heck you want.
What if
He's getting so agitated. He's basically pacing in place. He's taking his headphones off. He doesn't like, this is an emotionally charged conversation. This is crazy.
When Sean gets up on stage and demos this game, he doesn't say, I don't care what you do. You can do whatever the heck you want.
What if Mario had no enemies?
Yes, okay, no.
See, he's
Hold
trolling.
on.
He's
Brandon
trolling
Jones,
so
there's
hard.
a difference between not pushing any buttons in Super Mario and wandering around in Minecraft, right? There's a difference. You might call some person in the world might call both of those things doing absolutely nothing.
Right.
But that's not true, right? In Minecraft, what excites me the most is I'll just start digging holes, man. I don't care.
Absolutely.
The minute I spawn, I'll just start digging holes.
Yeah.
I'm like, here we go. And the only thing that I want, right? This is why I buy so many packs in Hearthstone. I just want to find diamonds. And when I find them, you know what I do? I log out of Minecraft. I'm like, oh, I got my diamonds, and I'm done. That's not how anyone else plays Minecraft. And that's it. Like, that's when No Man's Sky crystallized for me. Is he doesn't want to give you a list of classes. He doesn't want to give you stats. And I know some people out there need that. I understand. This is not the game for you. It's just not.
Can you dig?
But I
You
like
can
Minecraft.
dig.
I dearly love Minecraft. I have had a resurgence of Minecraft like 5 times, where I will put the game down and then it's like, I gotta just get back in there. But to me, Minecraft, when they sold the first time I played Minecraft, I was like, got it. This is a game where I can do whatever the heck I want to.
That's what this is.
But it feels like that is not the way he has been selling it. He has not sold this game. We're just like, it's just a fun game because Sony's like, go out on stage and he's like, oh crap, maybe I can't say that. Maybe I can't sell the game this way and be really carefree and loose about it. He's like, oh, whatever, you can just do whatever you want. There's no rules. He's like, I gotta sell it as more of a standard experience than that. And so we've gotten the same demo 3 times where you're like, okay, right, you're pulling out and there's
He's questioning the teachings of Lord Murray. And you can see this is a sin that will not be tolerated. Again, watch the second he brings up that they've done the demo 3 times, the same demo. Anybody that is looking at this critically would say, this is a game where you say that there's like a galaxy worth of planets. We've seen the same one like 3 times. Why?
standard experience.
Watch his face.
And so we've gotten the same demo 3 times where you're like, okay, right, you're pulling out and there's stars. I got it. And he's just like, I can go to this planet and like shoot stuff and stuff. And it just, here's the thing. You say you have infinite possibilities. Like, there's infinite things you can do. There's
I don't
not.
think there's infinite.
You can fly here. You can land. Then you can take off again and go somewhere else and land. And you can step out.
You can
and
say
shoot
that about
things.
any game.
But
GTA, you get in the
Right?
car, you
and
shoot
you have an
someone.
inventory, and objects go in, and then you can take them other places. That's like 8 possibilities. There are variants of how. Right? There are variants of how those possibilities play out. There's like if I shoot things, I don't know if guys are going to show up, but I still just shot something and waited. You know, it's like in Minecraft, I can build a ladder, I can build a torch, I can build that ladder down to
But
a train
it's new
track.
planets,
I can get in a train
and it's
track.
new life. You build spaceships. You
and
build new
shit.
spaceships.
Yeah,
Just
I
show
know
me
building a
resources.
spaceship.
He's telling you build
Yes.
spaceships.
You
But you're
can
going out on
absolutely
stage
do
for the 4th demo of No Man's Sky, and you're not going to build a spaceship. You're going to
It's
do
an
the pull-out.
experience. You can't show you 30 minutes.
Honestly, I think you're right. And there was an anguish that I saw in Sean Murray.
There was an anguish I saw in Sean Murray. Who talks like this? Can you imagine, like, listening to somebody talk about Starfield? And they're like, and I saw an anguish on Todd's face, a desire to share the good news of the settled systems. But yea, verily I say to you, ye of little faith, ye of few fish bowls of exploration, you shall be punished. Like, it's crazy. People don't talk like this without some filter through which their perception's been twisted, and I think it is the bizarre hype and idolization of a video game designer
that I wish you could have been there to see. I felt the same way as you, and even as he was doing the gameplay demonstration, I was like, this looks a lot like the trailers. When are we going to see new things? But the sense that I got is that man would rather die than show you what is out there to discover.
And the thing is, I'm not passionate.
Remember Poe's Law? You can't tell the difference between a troll making fun of an extreme position and the actual extreme position. Just listen to that sentence again.
The sense that I got is that man would rather die than show you what is out there to discover.
And the thing is, I'm not passionate about this game because I'm sensing a game I don't care about. Then I don't care. Then we have an 8-minute just played and we're done and we move on.
Yeah,
that's discover this universe.
Like there's something exciting about going to a planet, and you are the first person in the world to see this creature. Maybe you can't, build a ladder out of it. Okay, Brendan Jones, I can't make a ladder out of this little bug that I found.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But I was the first person to do it. That is a story that I could come in and I could say, you've never seen this planet. You will never see this planet because it's so huge. And I saw it, and I get to describe it to you. That's what exploration is. That's what adventure
the
is.
hell knows what is going to be in the center of the universe? That you say there's no point. How many of us in this room are even going to make it to the center of the universe?
Right.
And what the hell is there? I'm making it. If you manage
I'm gonna
to
be
get
there. So you know what?
The credits.
You
The
can
end
have
credits.
your ladders. We're better off
He
without
says,
them.
thank you for playing.
But the point being,
There's a knock at
Ian
your
just
door.
Said,
Yeah.
You just said you can build a ship, but dude, never how do you literally? Is
Yeah,
it like
but-
a currency
but-
thing? Where
but-
like if you want to upgrade your ship, you need 400
But
things.
that's just,
so I get 400 things, and then I just buy it.
if you're just trying to make a discussion or if you're really this dead
I
inside.
want to know.
If you're this dead inside. This is why, honestly, like, it can be hard to maintain a skeptical outlook on stuff, to not just buy into whatever the next crazy hype thing is. Because people have this reaction where, like, you're just dead inside. You don't want to have fun. Because it is kind of fun to be hyped about stuff. We've all been there. We get hyped about all sorts of stuff. I got super hyped for, like, Fallout 4 back in the day and got burned. I think we all have gotten hyped for, like, Red Dead 2, and ended up being really, really good in that case. But hype is fun. No doubt. Because you let your mind wander and go crazy, and then sometimes they even meet your expectations or exceed them. But it also is fertile ground from which con men, charlatans, or fools that got over their heads, in the case of Sean Murray, I think. I don't think he was doing anything necessarily maliciously. I think he just got in too deep with Sony and couldn't find his way out to deliver the actual product that he had at that point promised. But it's fertile ground from which those people can pluck suckers to buy and take advantage of. And it's unfortunate that so many people can fall into this trap, but you see it all of the time. When are you adding Lord Murray to the candle set? I think we need to do it ASAP.
No. And people get frustrated when you ask about details. They're like,
Yeah, people get frustrated. They say you're dead inside. They get frustrated when you ask details. All of this applied directly to the Starfield discussions we had before launch. People were saying Todd knows what he's doing. You need to trust Todd. People were saying Todd would not have it so you just walk around on planets. He's going to have vehicles in the game that are a surprise at launch. You'll load into the game and there'll be rovers for you. They're just not saying it because they want it to be a surprise. Like, people were just making stuff up to try and defend their Lord and Savior. Like, it's craziness.
want to know. And people get frustrated when you ask about details. They're like,
but
hey,
the way
hey,
there's-
you want details about this game? Don't you want to
I
explore?
get it,
It's like,
I get it.
Yeah, I want to explore.
I get it.
Yeah,
Brandon,
what do you?
But no, you
what do
have
with diamonds
no,
than
no.
in Minecraft.
This is the thing.
You make
This
better
is
weapons out
this
of
is
it.
what separates. No, this is the thing that separates the people that are going to be into No Man's Sky versus the people that aren't. That's what it comes down to. You have to be okay with not knowing. You have to be able to boot up.
Remember what I said about, like, the faith parody? Yeah, you want to know if this is true? Well, you can't. You have to be okay with not knowing for sure. You have to have faith. that it'll work out, that it's worth playing, that there's good stuff at the end of the galaxy.
No Man's Sky, and you have to be comfortable with yourself, the money that you're spending on this game, and the time that you're committing to it, where you're like, yeah, I don't know what I do. Are you okay with that feeling or not?
I'm okay with.
Are you okay with that feeling or not? So this goes on for another 10 minutes. I encourage you to watch it if you have the strength, because it's kind of crazy. And this individual, Ben Moore, did end up doing the review. You can see Brandon was so goddamn right. The guy was right all along. Yeah, people called him irrational for asking a rational question, a question that gets answered 99% of the game and all other games, including Minecraft. This video is a perfect demonstration of the difference between a journalist and somebody who thinks they're a journalist. People were pretty hard on the dude about it, understandably so, because this isn't journalism. You know, this is hypium. This is something different. Even for a just regular gamer, this type of behavior would be worrisome, frankly. Now, he worked for a long time after that. He worked with a few different groups. He worked with, oops, my computer is freaking out. Hold on. So let's see. He created, the guy's name is Ben Moore. He created video game related content for the New York Post for over a year. In 2013, he became a member of Game Trailers until its closure in 2016. So just a year after this whole thing. In 2022, though, after he left Game Trailers, he worked with Easy Allies. But in 2022, he announced he was leaving Easy Allies to because his wife got a new job back in their home state of Iowa. And then he and his wife were going to advance in the next stage of their lives. And they wanted to spend more time with their friends, family, and loved ones. So after this debacle, where honestly, like, it seemed as though maybe there was a little bit of there's more going on. You know, you don't talk this way and say that the first time you felt a human connection was when you heard a video game designer talk about their game. Like, that's something when there's something else going on. That's why I said, like, do you need a hug? If I heard somebody saying this type of thing. After this, got married, seems to have settled down. He left the video game industry. I'm not sure what he's doing for work now, but it seems that he has settled, moved into the next phase of life, and is doing well elsewhere outside of the games industry and games journalism industry. So it seems that he landed on his feet and is doing just fine. But the reason I point to this close to a decade after it originally aired was because in hindsight, with 2020 hindsight, we can see how insane this sounds. But this type of dialogue happens all the time with games like Concord, the diehard fans that were talking about that, with people that were defending Suicide Squad, people defending Starfield, people defending all these other games that came out and had serious problems. The problems were readily apparent to anybody looking at it critically and thinking. But if you were just super, super hyped up, you wouldn't see any of it. And if you slip, most people who are just excited for games don't get anywhere near this level. But this is like end stage hypium. Like, this is when you are so down deep in the rabbit hole that there's no digging yourself out. Like, you're in trouble if you're this deep. When your voice is trembling and cracking, describing the anguish you saw on a video game designer's face as he described something that made you feel a human connection for the first time since you joined the industry. Yeah, at that point, you've become the rabbit. Exactly. So this is ultimately why I encourage all of us to be properly skeptical of stuff, to maintain as level head as we can, and to avoid the self-delusion that can come with it. Jake says Easy Allies got hyped for the stupidest stuff. That was part of their fun. Well, and I think there is a market for it. You know, there's plenty of channels where all they do is they just make content moving from game to game where they just get really hyped and speculate about stuff. And there's people that love it. There was the one case where it was Hogwarts Legacy, where I was pointing out, I was like, guys, their last game was Cars 3 Driven to Win. That's the last game from the Avalanche guys that made Hogwarts Legacy, okay? Chances are this is not going to be a 10 out of 10 role-playing game. It's just not. It might be a good game. It might be a fun game, but it's probably in that like 7 to 8 out of 10 range in terms of actual game mechanics, because that's just how this works. Like, it's not magic. But there were some people that were crazy hyped for it. They're like, oh, there's going to be a whole system for you to go to classes and improve your wizard. And sort of, but it was mostly narrative stuff. You know, it didn't end up being the case. But I remember seeing one post on Reddit. It was like a comment in replying to a thread where a guy said, you know what? Even if the game ends up being bad, so long as I can walk through Hogwarts, I'll be happy. That was his only demand and only expectation. He's like, honestly, the hype is fun. I'll be good there. And there was another guy I saw talking about Starfield, and he said, honestly, if we play Starfield and the game isn't very good, I'll still be happy, because the community he got through the hype was part of the fun for him. It was almost like a feature of the game, was the hype process to get there. And I thought that was really fascinating to hear somebody say, even if the game is bad, I've had fun just talking about and getting hyped over the game. So the game itself doesn't even need to be good, because the hype around the game was part of the game, basically. It was like, interesting perspective. But yeah, that's called cope. Yeah, I think technically it's called cope. But honestly, if you have fun through hype and that's part of like a game's feature, can't blame you. Like, good for you. Loxy, thank you so much. Jesus, 10 gifted subs over on Twitch. Very generous, my friend. Thank you. That's too kind. The walking through Hogwarts was great in Hogwarts Legacy. Yeah, honestly, having a fully recreated Hogwarts that's like seamless was something a lot of Harry Potter fans had dreamt of. And so to finally get it was really, really cool. That's kind of how the Star Citizen community is. Yeah, the Star Citizen community, it's tricky because there's a very vocal minority of people that, frankly, like, there's nothing you can say that will ever change their mind on what they're convinced of, because a lot of them are very financially tied to it. There's others, though, and people don't realize this until you get into the community and talk to them. The most hardcore, like, I think the people that hold their feet to the fire the most are Star Citizen fans that are in deep. You know, they pay super close attention to all the stuff that they do with Star Citizen. So I think there's a very vocal minority within Star Citizen's community that is probably to the point of like delusional hype, but I think they're a minority. From what I've seen, at least. There's a video of theirs where the people in question reflect on this specific video, which is pretty interesting. Oh, really, Stage Geek? Do you know? Let's see. It would be Easy Allies. Maybe reflect on No Man's Sky. I mean, this is, Jacob, I guess you can stitch this on to the end of that. But this same guy, Ben Moore, this was his review, the end of his review.
Promising foundation present, so it's possible
so he
to
didn't,
envision a more...
To be clear, he didn't voice it. He just wrote it, but he didn't voice it.
Substantial game down the line. As it currently stands, though, our excitement to cross the universe faded sooner than we expected.
to his credit, he gave it 3 out of 5 stars, which translates to a 6 out of 10 Metacritic score, which is part of the reason I don't really like including star-based scores in the Metacritic, because 3 out of 5 doesn't typically mean, like in terms of sentiment, 6 out of 10. People hear 6 out of 10 and that's bad, but 3 out of 5 stars is like, oh, it's fine. You know, bad isn't until you hit like 2 stars. That's at least my interpretation of it. Is the title Light No Fire an analogy to the craziest hype? Dude, that would actually be really funny if that's what they were doing. That's funny. I think people put way too much importance on scores and reviews, so maybe we should just stop using them. The problem is they're always going to do it. And what you see is, like, if a website stops using review scores, they just stop being put in Metacritic. And like, people still look at Metacritic because it's really easy to get just a gut check of how a game is. And in terms of industry importance, a lot of like companies use Metacritic scores tying to like bonuses and stuff. So if the game has a Metacritic score of this point, they bonus out like that. That was the thing with Fallout New Vegas, where Fallout New Vegas, they needed to hit an 85 on Metacritic to get a bonus paid out, but they hit 84. And so they didn't bonus on anything, which is crazy. Oh, I see. They actually say our ratings: 5 stars masterful, 4 is excellent, 3 is decent, 2 is inferior, and 1 star is terrible. So they say decent. I think most people would say a 6 out of 10 score though is bad. I don't think people would consider 6 out of 10 decent. It's like, it's probably getting to bad. Like 7 out of 10 is like 6.5 to 7 out of 10 is probably like, it's fine. You know. Yeah, they got 84, not 85, so they didn't get a bonus. Yeah. Proto, ever ended up checking out the Tokyo Spliff guy on YouTube who's making the game engine from scratch in C++? You like that kind of stuff. So yeah, I did pull it up after you mentioned it last time. It's insane. It's a little masochistic, but I mean, that's pretty cool. 5 is average, 6 is above average. I don't think people react that way. What is an average game? What is it like? What's a game that you would consider to be average? I think the thing is, like, most people, at least in the States, are looking at those Metacritic scores based on the American grading system within our schools. So, like, and whether, you know, when you get internationally, I understand grade systems work differently, but in the US, it doesn't, 5 is not average. Okay. The old saying is C's get degrees. So like C is considered to be, for most schools, like the average, I can't write, average student. And a lot of teachers will grade on a curve so that the average score is a C. And then, you know, you can excel better or worse. But that's typically, like, even in college, most of my professors would grade on a curve to make the average performance a C if they wanted to level it out. So if C is average, C equates to a 70% score. And so B, I don't know what that is. B is like good, or at the very least above average. Probably, you know, the A minus range is getting into like great. And then the A plus, which is, you know, the 95 and up Metacritic score, is like amazing. Amazing. But D is below average, which comes out, you know, or bad. And that equates to 60%. 60%. And then F is anything below 60%. And so when people are like, oh, you graded this game at a 5 out of 10 or something. In some areas, that's probably considered just like average. That's fine. But for any US journalist or US based gamer that's looking at the Metacritic score, they're just looking at it in this way, where anything below a 6 out of 10 is failing. Anything in the 60s range is bad. 7s are just fine. 8s are good. 9s, high 8s, low 9s are great. And then high 9s are high 9s are like amazing. It's not an F, it's an E. I did see that one school district in my state changed from using Fs. They stopped using Fs and saying that students failed classes, and they just regraded it to be needs improvement. But they still failed to pass, so I don't know what it is. 6 is barely scraping by grade. In some schools, you can get by with a D. In my high school, it was up to like teacher discretion. So if you got a D in classes, the teacher could hold you back because it was not sufficient. They could pass you just to get you out of the classroom, but Ds would not get degrees. Yeah. So anyway, with for me, 7 is decent, 8 is good, 9 is great, 10 is excellent. My opinion is the only one that matters. Fair enough. Yeah, I think that's fine. It's just you see it all the time where people are like, I think this game is a 5. But if you're not using the same like scoring system, that might sound totally insane and unfair. Anyway. Okay. They should standardize the scoring systems. Like 5-point scale is not exactly comparable to 10-point scale or 100-point scale. Yeah, I agree. I think if you're gonna be on Metacritic, they should require that you use the same scoring system as everybody else. Because somebody, again, that gives a game 3 stars, they probably mean it's like decent. But for Metacritic, converted to out of 100, that's probably should be a 7 out of 10. But it converts to a 6 out of 10, which is why it can kind of pull the average score down. So you have to look at the specifics of it. But that's why it's all the more remarkable when a game gets like a 90 something, Isn't it then the problem of your perception? I'm not sure what you mean. I'm not sure what you mean by that. John, 3 out of 5 stars is 6 out of 7 out of 10. Yeah, again, it depends on what you mean by your 3 out of 5. If you mean 3 out of 5 is just middling, it's just fine. Some scores that might be a 7 out of 10. Others that might be also 6 out of 10. Others, like we heard earlier, some people might consider 5 to be average or like the middle score for a game that's just fine, I like skill up systems. Strongly recommend. Played. Don't recommend. Strongly don't recommend. Yeah, I mean, it's clear enough that you can understand. Like you can understand what they're going for. I think for me, I think it. Like I don't tend to give. I tried a couple times giving scores, and it wasn't worth doing. So I've tried doing scores. I don't really like it. So I've shifted, and now I just describe what I think of the game, and I'll try to put it as simply as I can as I describe it. But I'm just not that interested in like the clear number. If somebody asks on stream, like if you had to give it a number, what would you give it? I'll give it the number. But I think it's more useful if people watch the video and hear what I think of the game instead of like, oh. I can see through this clear like thumbnail, or I skip to the end of the video and I see the number on screen. That's what do you think of it? I really like ACG's buy, wait for sale, or don't buy. Yeah, the tricky thing is with Game Pass, it breaks it. You know, because it's like buy, play through a subscription service, wait for a sale, wait for a subscription service. You know, Edgar as in Poe. That's funny. I like that. Welcome. Thank you. Glad to have you as a member. So 5 out of 8 is good. Do you mean 5 to 8, or we should use an 8-point standard system? That would be funny. What if we did just like a totally arbitrary thing where it's like, oh, we use a 13-point system. So you give a game a 10, but that doesn't actually mean 10. And we just watch people's brains break, because like 10 out of 13 actually translates to like a 77 out of 100. So people can be like, did you see Luke gave this okay game a 10 out of 13, but still just to troll the shit. That could be funny. That could be funny. Okay, yeah, that could be really good. Maybe we do that for a video just to troll people. It's like when we did the Hogwarts Legacy critique or review, and we were talking about the like whatever Merlin sites, the trials. And so we just mispronounced it every single time we did a mention of it. So yeah, and then you go to the site of the Trial of Morlin, and then after you finish the Morbin trials, you move on. But you have to complete enough of the Marlin trials to get past this point, and you just watch people like freak out. There were people that commented on it before they got to the end of that sequence. Like, how do I take your opinion seriously when you're mispronouncing this name all the time? You didn't even pay it, and you know, they didn't get far enough into the video, I guess, but it was pretty funny. Free interaction on the video. There you go. It's like I've told you guys before, there's a lot of people on like TikTok or YouTube, they will include editing mistakes, quote unquote, or like mistyped or misspellings in the title or in the captions and stuff to try and get people to correct them in the comments, because that comment counts as interaction, which boosts the video. So like people will make a video on something like watches, and they'll say something wrong about the watch. Like, and as we all know, all Rolexes are not waterproof, as they show a picture of a Submariner or something, which is like a diving watch for diving underwater. And they get tons of comments correcting them. They don't care though, because it's interaction that boosts the video. It's stupid that works, but it does. Lots of people do it. I just get stuff wrong accidentally, so it's just a happy accident either way. Okay. So here we are. Kind of a weird day, not a ton to talk about, but we will be back on Wednesday. Maybe the drama around the election will be over and we can just go back to talking about video games, or maybe it will just be kickstarting into overdrive and it'll be even more toxic. Time will tell. Either way, I'm glad we are here together, not having to talk about that stuff. We can just have fun with games. So we'll be back. Don't worry, we won't play the NFT game. We'll play something else, and we'll do that. Yeah, we're gonna catch up on super chats here in just a second. Don't you worry. But yeah, I'm excited for all of this drama to be over, because every 4 years it just gets so toxic for like 6 months, and then it mellows out again, and I'm ready. Wait, what? Star Wars Outlaws? Star Wars Outlaws has a new creative director, even though it's already out. Drew Reckner has taken over the reins from Julian Garrity, according to a new dev diary. He says, Outlaws, I'm very excited to be stepping into the role of creative director on Star Wars Outlaws and to be working with this incredibly passionate team here at Massive Entertainment, along with talented co-development studios around the world, Lucasfilm Games. I'd like to personally thank you, our community, for positive responsibility. We see you love the fan arts. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. I want to take this time to say that we hear not only your positive feedback, but your constructive feedback as well. Thank you for sharing with us and helping us make the game even better. Today, I want to share with you next priority areas we're looking to address in Star Wars Outlaws. And then he, I imagine, broke down the stuff they're fixing. I can't think of the last time that they, like, that a game got a new creative director after that. Like, I I can't think of the last time a game's gotten a brand new creative director after it launched. Yeah, Grum's jump scare. Yeah, sorry, everybody. Interesting. The Wolverine game got new directors too. I did see that, but at least that's not out yet. You know? It's interesting. Let's see. Let me catch up on these real quick. Let's see. We read that one. We read that one. We read that one. While they're playing. Controls. Blake, the series have been RPGs though. Oh yeah, about Dragon Age. Yeah, no, and that's why it's totally fine if you don't like the shift away from like hardcore role-playing game. Don't buy Dragon Age. Easy. If you don't like it, don't buy it. My problem is just people lecturing each other on what they should and shouldn't like. Like, that to me is stupid. If you freaking love Starfield, more power to you. I'll explain why I don't like it, but you don't have to listen to me describe why I don't like it. Or you can just agree to disagree. That's fine. Like, whatever. But yeah, I think if you don't like the shift they've made, absolutely, like, that's totally justified. Sebastian, thank you for the 2. Chris, thank you for the 5. I had a thought. You and Miniac could be brothers. Y'all should collab or something Warhammer related. So we get to have a family reunion. Miniac. My channel is concentrated on minifigure painting stuff. Oh, interesting. Interesting. I'm always down to talk miniatures, talk Warhammer stuff. That could be fun. Thank you for the super chat. I pulled him up. I'll look at him. And then Edgar again. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And Loxy again. Thank you for all of the super chats and everything. Bros out of Concord shirt. Sure is. Somebody sent me one. I have not. Nope, I've not heard from the person who sent it, so I will not share their name or anything. But if they want their name shared, I will do that once they tell me. But yeah, a fan sent this into my mailbox, and I think it's very funny, so I'm happily wearing it. Anyway, thank you guys for hanging out. Is the watch a Grand Seiko? Oh yeah, the watch. This is a solid watch if you just want one that kind of looks like a Submariner without being a Submariner. I think it costs all of 2.5% of the cost of a Submariner, but it's just a Seiko solar, so it accomplishes the same basic stuff. I don't love that it's not automatic. I like automatic watches more, but it's fine for the price. It gets the job done. You know, Seiko, they make really good stuff. Quality control, not amazing. Sometimes you get some lemons, or like the bracelet's pretty scratched up once I got it, but it was kind of weird being a new watch, like seeing that it was scratched up out of the box. I was like, I shouldn't have that. But you want to know the watch I really want to get though? You want to know? They don't make them anymore. You can only buy it like secondhand. I don't think they make it anymore, at least. But the Rolex Submariner Deep Sea. It was the collaboration with James Cameron. So it's rated up to 12,000 feet, just as a point of like showing off at that point. But it's like freaking gorgeous. I mean, come on, man. Come on. Is that not the sexiest thing? It's rated for 3,900 meters. That's crazy. Oh, I'm a James Cameron fan. His name is James Cameron. The only guy that can raise the bar, as it were, you know. How much? It's like a $13,000, $14,000, $15,000 watch. Like it's a Submariner, you know. If you can find one, that is. Finding one is tricky because yeah, they're not super common. This one, 2018, this is like the refresh they did. 14,850. Man. But damn, she's sexy. She fat though. She dummy thick. So one thing with this one, because it's rated for such insane depth, it's way bigger than a typical watch. Typical Rolex is like sit on your wrist kind of like this. That thing is like wearing a brick, you know. It's crazy. Omega speed, yeah, Omegas are amazing. Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Buy that or a Ubisoft NFT? These are the questions. These are the real questions. You wearing Rolex? No, this is a Seiko that looks vaguely like a Rolex. Just because Submariners all kind of, I mean, like this one we're looking at. If it has this dial, it's like a GMT is the classification. Submariners are like specifically rated for like the sea and underwater and stuff. But like this just looks vaguely like it, but it's not. This costs, I think, all of what, like 2% maybe of what one of these costs. Like not even close. Not even close. Aiden, thank you for that 5. This might be a hot take, but I think James Cameron is not a good director, and the bar at movies are insanely overrated. The bar at movies. Oh, Avatar movies. Oh. I think the Avatar movies as like stories are very overrated. I think as experiences, they're very good. There's something that you have to see in person though. That's the thing. You have to see it in person, like in the theater. Not in the theater, not in person. It's not the same. Like at home, not the same. Not the same at all. So it's definitely true. Definitely true. 14K certainly is crazy, like under 1.5. What do you mean under 1. Like that's a standard? Rolexes, you can get some old ones from like the 70s and 80s for like 3,000. They're just Rolex. Like if you walk into a Rolex store, you can't buy one. If you walk in and you say, I have a $50,000. Ooh, thank you.
You are doing great. Have you seen the GTA 6 community using a pic of the moon in a GTA Online blog to determine when the next 6 trailer is?
Yeah, I've seen them doing it. They're tracking the moon phase with like the shadows and the location to track the movement. It's like, or maybe it's just the moon in the background. Like, you know, it's a little desperate. If it ends up being right, that's super cool. But I think they do this every few months where they, one of my biggest TikToks of all time, I think the biggest, is when I was looking at the bullet holes that were shot into a door in one of the concept arts. And people were looking at that to try and translate it through binary into numbers that they could then use to determine a date for the next trailer. When it was just bullet holes in a piece of concept art. But like people go crazy. People go crazy for that GTA stuff. It's madness. Fossil watches all the time. Most expensive ones around 300. Yeah, to be clear, like, what I was saying before that. Thank you for the membership, my friend. 13 months. That's crazy. But you like walk into a Rolex store. If you have a $50,000 check or cash or card with that limit, if you're ready to go and you walk in and you say, I want to buy a Rolex today, they will say, cool. You can't. and they'll ask you to put your name down and get on a list. And then they will call you 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years later, and then offer you the chance to buy it. You can't actually walk in and buy a Rolex if you want to. Omega, you can walk in and buy an Omega. That's fine. Yeah, they'll sell it to you. But Rolex has like done this artificial scarcity thing where they know that people want them because they have a certain reputation, and so they keep them scarce by only selling probably 15-20% of what the demand is. Like, it's you're fine, Loxy. It's the auto mod is aggressive. Ever since Twitch announced that they're cracking down on like the political extremist content, I've noticed their auto mod has been way more aggressive too. Which is funny. Now they care, you know. But it's whatever. But yeah, they do that. The Richard Mille stuff, those watches are stupid. Those are the watches that like Ronaldo will wear that are, or Messi will wear, that are like $3 million for a watch that's like got a rubber band bracelet. Like I don't really get the Richard Mille things. I understand they're probably very, very like impressive, but those ones I find hard to justify. I've told you guys before, like for me, it's been a dream since I was like a teenager to one day get a really, really nice watch as like a sign of success and accomplishment. And it helps because like these things not just retain their value, some of them go up in value. Something like the Deep Sea, I imagine like as time goes by, now that they're not making more of them, these will retain their value very well. Like somebody bought this, what, 7 years ago for about 15,000, and it's selling on a secondary market right now for about 15,000. So it's not like you're just throwing your money away. It's not as good as like actually investing. But yeah, I've always wanted a very fancy watch, and who knows? Maybe I'll find a Deep Sea somewhere. I can justify that, but because I think this would be so cool. It's such a beautiful, beautiful watch. Well, I guess he is kind of obsessed. Is the James Cameron watch supposed to be Abyss themed? No. So what it was is they made a special prototype watch when he went to the bottom of the Marianas Trench, the deepest spot in the ocean, right? And they put the watch on the outside of the submersible that went down with him to the bottom of the ocean. And when it came up, it was still working. And, you know, the point was they wanted to prove they could make something so tough that it could withstand those depths. As you can see, this is rated for 3,900 meters or 12,800 feet below the surface of the water. So like it was this thing they did to kind of celebrate the accomplishment of James Cameron going down there. And then also after that, they launched this limited, it's not technically limited edition, I don't think, but they launched a new watch that they no longer make that's called the Deep Sea. That is this bigger, chunkier Submariner, but it's specifically this collaboration between them and James Cameron. And so it's officially the Deep Sea, the Rolex Deep Sea, but it is, it's often called the James Cameron, like the sub James Cameron or whatever. But she thick. She dummy thick. Brah. So you're saying if the passengers of the Titan wore one, the watch would still be fine. Unironically, yeah. The watch would almost certainly be fine. Which is funny. And also sad. It's sad. That whole thing was sad. I want to be clear, but it is I mean, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. You seen the Omega Speedmaster equivalent of the Deep Sea? Omega Deep Sea. Where is it? Planet Ocean, maybe? Does that sound right? Behold the groundbreaking new diver models built in revolutionary Omega Mega Steel, water resistant to 6,000 meters. Okay. How deep is 6,000 meters? Just about 20,000 feet. This is the kind of funny thing with Omega is whenever there's like an accomplishment that Rolex makes, they're like, okay, hold my beer. They're like, oh, you're rated for 12,000 feet. We're rated for 20,000. Just hold our beer. We got this. We got this. That's so funny. That's ridiculous. Yeah, Omega, in my opinion, Omega make the better watches. I think just on a functional level, I think they make the better watches. There's a reason they're the official like timekeepers of the Olympics and why Omegas are worn by astronauts in space and stuff. Rolex, though, has the more popular and more impactful branding, though. You wear an Omega, watch fans will know you're wearing an Omega. You wear a Rolex, everybody knows what a Rolex is. That's the difference. Their business practices are pretty slimy, in my opinion, but the brand has certainly benefited from it. But anyway. Did I see the Pisser Pro unboxing yet? Yeah, I did see it. We looked at Joe Raptor unboxed it. IGN did an unboxing where they made the poor guy wear gloves because they said his hands were too greasy. That was cringe. But yeah, we did watch those. It's, I don't know, it's a PS5 Pro in a white box. Like it's not that exciting. But yeah. It's like driving a Tesla. Everyone hates you for any number of legitimate reasons. Yeah, I think like so the ones that are like really crazy though are people who wear stuff like this. Like this, what I'm going to show you is like old money watches. Okay, there's new money watches. These are like new money watches. Okay. Pateks. They don't look particularly amazing. But like, how much do you think this is? How much do you think this kind of watch would cost? Doesn't look particularly crazy, right? How much do you think? Did it not? No, it didn't. This is like 42 grand. This one's like 62. I mean, some watches, you see them and you're like, oh, that's expensive. Yeah, the Jacobs are even more. Yeah. But like that watch, if you saw somebody wearing this is like old money watch. Because if somebody wants like the easy clout for I've got a fancy watch and I just became rich, they'll wear like a nice Rolex or something, or a Richard Mille or something like that. If you see a dude walking around the golf course wearing a Patek, you know that guy's on another level. You know, like Pateks are something else. Jacobs are even crazy. To be clear, not Jacob in chat. I don't know, maybe he does have some fancy watches. But like, look at these. They have a Bugatti Tourbillon Astronomia regulator. Some of these, this is the Opera Godfather. Okay. This watch has like a mini piano in it that plays as these cycle forward. Like, you think I'm joking. I am not. It's insane. Okay. Like, this is an actual technical marvel, this whole thing. Like, I don't understand how they even built this thing. But how much do you think this gigantic monstrosity costs? Because, I mean, it looks like a piece of Halloween jewelry, honestly. Kind of does. Case, I don't know. It's limited edition. I don't think, yeah, they made 88 of these, and that's it. That's it. How much do you think that costs? That one costs between $364,000 and $430,000. This almost certainly costs more than your house. It's crazy. Yeah. So, and I mean, I'm pretty sure there was some celebrity that wore it on the red carpet recently, and it was like wearing a hockey puck on your wrist. Like it looked really stupid, honestly, but that's not why people wear watches like that. They wear it so that you know they're rich. That's why they wear it. I don't even know what you do. Like, I wouldn't want to take that anywhere. I'd be mortified. Look at some of these. The Billionaire 3, this is the one Usher wore recently. He had one of these that's covered in rubies. That's like $3 million. Yeah, some of these Jacob & Co. ones are just like overkill. This one, Astronomia Sky. This one like actually simulates the movement of the planets. Like they do a cool 3-dimensional thing with these where like they actually rotate not just in 2 dimensions, but they'll rotate in 3. It's really crazy to look at. But also like this is not something you're wearing. Look how huge it is. Look at that. It's like that thick wearing it on your wrist. But like it's insane. So at least some of these are like really, really cool. They're not something you would ever wear like in your life. It's something you wear when you're accepting your Oscar, you know, like that's the only time you wear it. But anyway, on the flip side, again, Pateks, if you ever see somebody wearing a Patek, you know you're dealing with a real gangster because they're not interested in the clout. They just want to wear a $400,000 or a $60,000 watch. So watch out for those guys. Yeah, it's an art piece. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. How do you not just want to wrap it in cellophane when going outside? Yeah, I mean, that's something like you put on your brand new Jacob & Co. watch and like you're walking like this to make sure nothing bumps into it and you set your arm down gently. Let's talk. Interesting point you just made. Like I'd be horrified to do anything ever. It's not a watch you wear, you know. Hits door handle down 100K. Yeah, dude, straight up. It would be horrifying. Okay. Save that. Okay. Anyway, what I was gonna say. I think we're there. Hope you're doing great. Have you seen the GTA 6 community? Oh, I did read that one. MMORPG. Yes. Thank you, anybody. Everybody, you guys have been amazing. We'll be back Wednesday, hanging out more. Probably rambling about more and more random stuff and trying to stay focused and failing miserably. Until then, my friends, stay wonderful. Should I buy a Concord shirt? I mean, it is a little funny. And I think eventually it will be like a statement. So, can't hurt. But yeah. Anyway, much love, everybody. I'll see you soon. Hugs and kisses. I was trying to come up with something funny to say. I got nothing. That's how I'm ending the stream. Bye.